Right, and I'm pretty sure we are live here. What is up, everyone? OJ over here from Player Essence, and welcome to another, Player Essence Cross Nintendo Live. We do have another guest. I know last time you guys really liked the one that I have with Shadow Fox Infinite, so I decided to bring someone else on. Or actually, this is something that I think Nate from Direct Feed Games and myself, we've been planning this for quite some time. We've been wanting to talk about some things here and there. So I do want to introduce my guest that I have here, and this is Nate from Direct Feed Games. How are you doing today, Nate?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing really, really good. Thanks for asking, man. So, just before we kind of get into this, I know this is the first time that I've had you on my channel and everything. I want to thank you first and foremost for, making some time to come on to talk to me on my channel, letting me host. I really do appreciate that. But I also wanted to talk to you a little bit as far as let the audience kind of know, like, what you do as far as, what you go by and all that stuff. So can you kind of tell people a little bit about yourself as far as what you do in the gaming sphere or online, what's going on with you?
I've been involved in the game industry to some capacity since about 2003. I started writing onto some, little websites here and there. And then I got into some freelance writing over the last 5 years or so. But I obviously have my YouTube channel where I post the video footage. But, I mean, mostly just cover games with writing about it, reviewing them, and just doing that type of work.
Nice. Yeah, man. I've been following you for a while now, and I know I've been following you for a couple of years at this point, I think. So, yeah, definitely, man. Sounds good. So, I wanted to bring you on because, like I said, this is something that we've been kind of thinking about talking about. And, a lot of talk, especially it was about, when was it? Was it about like 2 months ago or something like that? Or was it like right after E3? People started getting real crazy about third-party support, like with the Switch and all that. And you're a Nintendo fan, but I'm pretty sure that you have all systems. I know you upload everything, but I know that you do like Nintendo games for the most part, right?
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo's the whole reason I even got into this type of job circuit. So I love talking about Nintendo. I love their games. And yeah, it was about 2 months ago, right around the time Street Fighter 2 actually released, when all the third-party shit went crazy, and you had people on Twitter saying, "Oh, Capcom hates Nintendo," and all of a sudden everyone lost their damn minds when it came to third parties.
Yeah, definitely, man. It was kind of it was interesting because even at that point there wasn't. I would probably say there has probably been, even from that point, I would say at least 50 games announced or so. When you
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
indies and also some of the major third parties. I mean, like Resident Evil Revelations was announced after that. Revelations 1 and 2. You've gotten some pretty big announcements. Obviously, they showed off a brand new No More Heroes game, which is interesting because some people are saying, like, is that game indie? Is that game not? I mean, and this is just before we get into it. But from what I understand, maybe you can clarify this one just before we kind of get into the main thing here. That game, No More Heroes, I don't see anywhere where it says what's the parent company of Grasshopper? Gung Ho. Gung Ho.
Yeah.
I don't see anywhere where there's Gung Ho on that game. So is Grasshopper Manufacturer, are they self-publishing that title on the Switch?
From what we know, that seems to be the case, or maybe Nintendo's involved and they'll be publishing it on the Switch. And I think that's where that indie classification comes in, is that the game isn't being funded by, like Gung Ho or a bigger company. It's kind of like it's Suda51's own game. He's directing it. It's his vision. So,
Okay.
I mean, I still classify that as, it's a third party. It's not a Nintendo game, so it's not first party. It's not second party, so...
Yeah, and that's the thing. Some people were just wondering, like, they're like, oh, well, because, online, the whole scope of, like, indie, like, people think, okay, well, if it's indie, that means the graphics aren't good. That means, it's not as good of a game, and all that. But then they see No More Heroes, they see Unreal Engine 4, they see kind of, like, what they're looking at. And then it automatically led them to assume that it's not going to be like the other No More Heroes games because, for some reason, because those games were published by, I think, Ubisoft, if I'm not correct. Those games were published by Ubisoft, or at least one of them was published by Ubisoft, but people don't understand that game was built from the ground up as an indie game. It was Ubisoft didn't want to publish it the whole time, you know what I'm saying? It was something to where they had to go and present it, and it was essentially an indie game, that they kind of, he just made out of nowhere, it wasn't anybody else's IP. That's what Grasshopper Manufacturer kind of is, and that's the indie roots. So it's just interesting to see the reactions to this game, because it seems like there's a lot of people who never played No More Heroes all of a sudden wanted to talk about No More Heroes.
I mean, that definitely happened after that trailer. And I think you kind of bring up a good point there, is that I think the definition of indie or third party, I think now it's almost blurred, because you have indie games that are better than some of these major releases from big third-party games. So that indie label really almost means nothing today.
Mm-hmm.
We have No More Heroes classified as an indie game, but it was published, as you said, by like Ubisoft and I think Marvelous.
Yeah. I think the second one, maybe Marvelous did the second one. I'm not 100% sure, but I know Ubisoft took care of one of them.
So it's like, what an indie really means nothing these days. I mean, No Man's Sky was technically an indie, but Sony funded it. So it's almost at this point a mute type of thing. It's a bullshit label we throw on things to say, oh, this game might suck. It's an indie game.
Yeah, and you know what? That's exactly. This is a good part to talk about third parties. This is all relevant to the whole third party type of deal. But yeah, man, that's exactly what I've been seeing lately. It's like, okay, well, we throw indie on there in order to say it'll suck, or it's mini game collections, or it's something. It's something like that. Like the minute people heard, oh, there's indie collaborations, all of a sudden the quality of No More Heroes is going to be crap. But people don't realize, or people don't, and that's what I'm saying. Like the people who didn't play the other games, you don't understand that that's been mini game collections have been a big part of No More Heroes 1, No More Heroes, and those mini game collections sucked in No More Heroes 1. Like the side quest, like they weren't good at all. The open world was horrible. Like the open world was horrible.
Yeah.
But it was just charm. You know what I'm saying? It was like, okay, you knew it wasn't that good, but you played them anyway because you had to in order to get all of Travis's beam katanas and moves. And then No More Heroes 2 was even more hardcore into the whole indie type of games because it was literally retro themed games, a bunch of them, and you needed to play them to make money and all that. So when I heard that, oh, you're going to be inside retro themed worlds, and then you're going to be fighting people, but then it's going to be based on different indie games, plus they're going to be making mini game collections in there for those worlds. I was like, whoa, this is a whole evolution. This is way better than what they did in No More Heroes 2. But of course people said, what, indie?
Yeah,
no.
Everyone lost their mind at the word indie, and they're like, oh, it must be, you go into a 2D world, you play a level from Hotline Miami, you fight the boss, and then you go to another indie game, and the game's over in like 2 hours. I mean, no one waited for like a press release to come out. They saw the trailer, like, oh, this is awesome. And then the trailer ended, they're like, oh no, wait a minute, this might suck. It might just be a minigame collection. Like, yes, Suda 51 is directing a minigame collection with Travis Touchdown.
Yeah, and then
exactly what we're getting, guys.
And then they took the time to make that really nice cutscene and all that, as far as him fighting in third person or everything, and then only to make a mini game indie collection.
Yeah. And to slow down for like 5 seconds to be like, we're using Unreal 4. This game is going to be badass, but you're really just, you're playing Pong for 5 seconds. It's WarioWare with Travis.
Yeah, I mean that's what I did. I thought the Unreal Engine 4 was a dead giveaway because like I don't know of most indie developers aren't going to license Unreal Engine 4 for 2D games or something like that, or retro themed games. Like they'll just use Unity or they'll just use some other type of engine. You know what I'm saying? Make their own little engine for something like that. So yeah, I thought that was a giveaway. But obviously, with the internet today, you have to make sure like if you don't exactly say something, there's going to be confusion. You know what I'm saying?
See, I almost think it mostly comes from a small section, a vocal section of the Nintendo fan base where they get a good announcement that instinctively they go to, oh no, something has to suck about this. So it's like, oh, No More Heroes, this is awesome. Crap, it has to be a mini game collection because there's no way we're getting this awesome game.
There's no way we're getting a brand new No More Heroes game, even though Suda's been wanting to make a No More Heroes game for literally 10 years.
They go immediately to a negative, like, oh, this is going to suck now because it's too good. Nintendo doesn't get games that are that good, so it's going to be ruined. And then you go to Twitter or a game forum, and you have, sure enough, someone sitting there saying, oh, this is just a mini game collection. Like, where did you get it from? No one said that.
Nobody said that at all, and that was the thing, and that's why I made the video talking about it, and I tried to tell people on Twitter because I would say a good number of concerned Nintendo fans come to me saying, this person's saying this is what's happening here, like, what's going on, So yeah, I had to make sure that I made a video talking about it and like reading the official press release, because if you do read the official press release, it says this is they actually say a raucous. I had to look up that word, what that meant, because I didn't know what that meant. So I had to look that up, and then I'm like, okay, loud, right? So it's loud. I guess that you could explain the other No More Heroes as loud because every time you slash someone, it's like ah. like they're screaming something stupid, you know, like oh mother or something like that. So I'm like, okay, that's why they said that. So I was like, okay, so it's a raucous 3D, you know, action game, you know, 3D action game where you slice down hordes of enemies and then you fight with bosses. That's because people were even trying to say like, okay, well maybe it's a 3D action game, but it's not like No More Heroes 1 and 2. And I'm like, no. There are different things, but essentially the core, it's a 3D action game. Even like when I showed people the press release, they're still like, no.
Yeah, like they just skip over these like. You know, they skip over all the paragraphs and sentences and say, look, it says 6 indie games. That means it's going to be a mini game collection. Like, what are you talking about? It says 3D adventure game, action game, kill tons of people.
Yeah.
Fight epic boss battles with your saber.
Yeah.
I mean...
I don't know what else. I mean, but but like you said, there are some people in the chat here. I want to get some nice chat interaction. So there are some people that even said like Game Explain started thinking it was a mini game collection. So when you have someone as big as Game Explain thinking that, that's when it becomes a problem because they're near 1 million subscribers. You know what I'm saying? And if they mention something, you know what I'm saying? If they accidentally, and Game Explain's awesome, and they just made a mistake. I don't think they had any ill intent with that one. Or anything like that, but they obviously just made. If they did say that, I didn't hear them say that, but if they did say that, then that's a big problem, you know.
I know they said in their video, I think they detailed it correctly that it was basically a No More Hero game, but I think they got the year wrong. They said it was 1 year between the events when it was actually 7, so they pulled their whole video.
Oh yeah, I did see that because I know there was a video up, and then all of a sudden the video went down. So,
yeah, so I think they just had like one piece of misinformation in there, and they fixed it.
Okay, cool. That's cool. So I'm not sure if they did say that it was just going to be a mini game collection or not. But guys, just to let you know, let's just kind of bury the hatchet here. So we're talking about third-party developers, third-party, and all that. That's what the focus of this is. Plus, we're going to get you guys' questions at the end. So if you have some questions that you want to ask us, definitely cue that up. So yeah, No More Heroes. Travis Strikes Again. I keep on calling it Travis Strikes Back, and I messed up my video. I sounded like a complete idiot. I'm like, oh yeah, we need to get the right information. Travis Strikes Back. I can't even get the title. I can't even get the title right, and I'm talking about people getting right information or misinformation. But anyway, it is
damn Star Wars.
I know, seriously, it's freaking Star Wars. The Empire Striking Back, man. So it's a 3D action game. It's a 3D action game that's really going to play like you did in No More Heroes, okay? No More Heroes, and I think the best thing to go off of with this game is No More Heroes 2. Because No More Heroes 2, it had retro-themed games that were a big part of the game. Like, you literally had to play those if you wanted to do some of the harder stuff in the game, get the money that you needed. So there was a lot of, it was called like Pizza Time. You were like on a bike, kind of, it was like, forgot that old Sega game where you're kind of going in. You know, you had a Bug Out where you're going like, you're killing bugs. There was all sorts of mini games in there, and that was a big part of the game. And I think that was actually an improvement from No More Heroes 1. So think of something like that, but think of it taking it to the next level. It's like, think of it almost like kind of like Kingdom Hearts in a way. You know what I'm saying? You're going to a certain type of world, and that's the themed world, and then you have to beat the boss in that world. 3D action with some retro themed games in there developed by those creators of those mini games. So, of those indie games. So they've got 2 announced so far. So they have Hotline Miami, and they also have Shovel Knight. So there should be some more. I thought that was pretty hype that Shovel Knight was there, and Suda's amazing. I'm not sure if you got to see the interview.
He's a great showman.
Yeah.
He can hype up even the littlest thing as like picking up a T-shirt.
Yeah. He was just like, oh, you lifted up his shirt. There was the shovel Knight there, and then he was like, hey, other indie developers, let us know. So it makes me think like, okay, they have a basis of what they want to do for the rest of the games. They just need to fill out maybe like who's going to be in that line. I know the Rumbo guys were like, hey, put some Rumbo in there. I think that'd be kind of cool. Those are weird looking dudes. I mean, they might be something. Yeah, it might be something interesting if they put Rumbo in there. So we'll see what other indie games are in there. So yeah. So we got one comment here from Link. He says that no, Derek said in the video that he thought it was a mini game collection. Okay, so one of them,
right.
Yeah, one of them did say that. So yeah, that's unfortunate because Game Explain's real big, but that's okay. We'll get it. We'll clear it up.
Like what was the context of that video that they had? Was it Derek just sharing an opinion, or was it like a news story? Because Game Explain, they do a lot of discussion videos. So if it's just Derek saying, "Oh, I think this is what it might be," it's different than an actual report.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's definitely different. I don't think it was a report. It must have been a discussion. But
Okay.
I would just wish that people would just use better like common sense. It's like
Yeah.
you don't use Unreal Engine 4 for a bunch of retro themed mini game collections. Like that's just not something. You don't show that scene of them fighting and say, well, it's not going to look anything like this. You don't take the time to stop and say this is being developed with Unreal Engine 4 in order to say, okay, we're going to have retro themed mini games. Like you don't. That's just not something. Does that add up to anyone? Like look at all the Unreal Engine 4 games. Think about it. I mean, I just wish that. And these are guys that have been in the gaming industry for a while, so I just wish they would just use a little bit better, discretion when it comes to certain things, especially when it's right in front of your face. This isn't like guessing or a rumor. It's like it's right there that you just saw. But it's all good. Game Explain's a good channel. So let's go ahead and we're going to move on a little bit. Let's get into kind of the core of what we were going to discuss as far as third party. And I wanted to get your take on this because a lot of people. So I'll kind of bring it all out to the table, right? A lot of people think that the Switch. There's just not going to be any third party on it. There's just not enough announcements quick enough or anything like that. So I wanted to get your take on what's going on with third-party developers right now, and will that change? What is your key, or what do you feel needs to be the key? Because there's a rising segment of Nintendo fans who feel that it's on Nintendo, like aside from system sales, it's Nintendo that needs to pay for all of these, like they did with the Wii U. There's that segment, and then there's another segment that's like, okay, well, sales and success of third-party developers are probably going to be more of the key. So I'm not trying to tell you to pick a side, but where do you kind of fall in line with your overall scope of what you feel is happening with third party?
I think, in the overall scale of third party, I think Nintendo has taken great strides to fix the problems that they had with the Wii U. I mean, look at what we have for the Switch announced so far. We have Skyrim from Bethesda. We have NBA 2K. We have WWE 2K from Take-Two. Now, those are franchises we didn't see on the Wii U. We had Bethesda mock the Wii U at launch. Mm-hmm. They laughed at that system. Now they're here with games. Now let's say that Fallout 4 retail listing is real. All of a sudden we're up to 2 Bethesda games, and they're not these awful releases. There's big franchises from that team. Mm-hmm. So it seems like Western third-party companies are coming around to the Switch, but they're a little slow about it because the Wii U was such a disaster.
Okay, so you believe that the Wii U essentially caused what's going on right now a little bit with just the slowness. Okay, because there are people who feel that that's not the case, that it's just on Nintendo in order to do it. Heck, I think I've had a couple debates with people where where they're like, oh well, why isn't there more? Nintendo should have done this, and I'm like, well, it's not that easy. I mean, if you look at what Nintendo's doing this year, I mean, they did pay for. I'm pretty sure they paid for. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm really confused on what's going on with One Up Rabbids Kingdom Battle because that game's not published by Nintendo. But did Nintendo? It says Ubisoft on the cover, but did Nintendo fund that game at all? I'm thinking that Ubisoft completely funded that. The more that I look at that game.
I think it's a completely funded Ubisoft game, and it was just Nintendo gave the blessing for the crossover, where they said you can use our characters, you can use, you can license our world, our setting, and all that. And Ubisoft went ahead, made the game around that. Mm-hmm. And it just happens to have Nintendo characters around it.
Yeah, it has to be because, if you look at the boxes for the games, you can, like, when Nintendo publishes the game, it says Nintendo on the bottom half of the box. And that one, it doesn't have the Nintendo, publisher stamp anywhere on there. It just has the licensing. So yeah, but I mean, so Nintendo, they went out there and they let them do that. Nintendo, they went out there, they're paying for, Fire Emblem Warriors. They're paying for Fire Emblem Warriors, so they do have some stuff. I mean, they went out there and paid for Super Bomberman. That was something that they went to Konami to do. Snipper Clips was something that they let staff to the indie team to do. So, I mean, they're going out there and they're looking at things, and I agree with the whole sentiment of, like, that's why I said, like, well, Wii U, whether, you thought the games were trash or not, which I can talk to you. I want to get your opinion on that. Whether you thought the games were trash or not, I don't really think it's the end result. That's the end result. It's the end result is that third party developers looked at that and were like, man, like, we can't sell nothing. And like I said, I know every game wasn't great, like great ports on the Wii U, but what's your take on that? Because a lot of Nintendo fans got a bit salty at me when I said that. When I put up a list of just literally every single major third-party game, and none of them sold. You know, like, and even the ones that were good ports. And that was my point that I was trying to get across. It wasn't if it was a good port or bad port. It was like everything for the most part didn't sell very well. So, what's your take on that?
I mean, the Wii U. It was a disaster for third parties. It wasn't even really that great for Nintendo if we really take a hard look at things. Like, sure, Mario sold, Nintendo Land sold, Splatoon, Smash, the usual suspects. But you had Call of Duty at launch, or Call of Duty 2 Black Ops, or Call of Duty Black Ops 2. It didn't sell well. Zombie U bombed. You really didn't have a third-party success on the system. And that's regardless of whether it was a good port, if it had all the same content parity. It didn't matter. The Wii U base did not care about these games because they felt like they were getting shafted. They weren't getting the same content. They weren't paying a premium price for the same game. And it turned off the whole base from buying those games. So now if I'm EA, I gave you a crappy Madden port and a FIFA. And then I gave you the god-awful Mass Effect 3 right around the time I announced the Mass Effect collection for other systems.
Same price.
For the same price.
Yeah.
Now, none of my games sell on the Wii U. Here comes the Switch. Why am I going to dive in head first early on to a system that I might not get any sales from?
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, and that's kind of like what I was saying, is that it makes sense that they would just kind of be a little bit, like, at least see a little bit. Maybe they're developing some engines. Maybe they're seeing some tests, because they all had dev kits, right? So they all had dev kits.
Yeah.
Maybe they were doing some tests here and there. Maybe they have a small team. I mean, you can see with FIFA, EA probably put like 3 people on the FIFA port to the Switch. I mean, they made a good port. I mean, they're busting their butt, but the dude's like, well, we would need an army of people to make the Frostbite and make it run. I'm like, okay, well, more like you probably just need a normal sized team, more like it. When you say, I would like for you guys to tell us exactly how big your team was on the FIFA version. I doubt they put any resources, because they put all of the resources into PS4 and Xbox One, because that's what sells the biggest.
Yeah, those copies are going to sell. Right now they're looking and say, hey, if FIFA sells on the Switch, it was probably a low investment on their end, and the return on investment could be huge if they happen to get decent sales. But they know, I mean, they have the marketing deal with Sony with the PS4, where they're going to have PlayStation 4 FIFA bundles in Europe like they do every year. They know where their sales are going to come from, and the Switch sales are just supplemental. If it's, hey, we sold 500,000 copies worldwide on the Switch, it at least shows there's a sports base on Switch that wasn't there on previous Nintendo systems. Like the Wii U never had really any sports games outside of the launch window, and the 3DS had nothing outside of a few years.
I think it had a PS2 port of NBA 2K13.
Yeah.
It was literally the PS2 version of NBA. Man, that was the worst version. I was like, Russell Westbrook did not look like Russell Westbrook. I mean, it looked like the dude that lives down the street from me. I'm like, that was, I don't know what they did with that. It looked like the dude that I play basketball with at the gym, to be honest. And trust me, he's no Russell Westbrook. So yeah, man, it was a little rough for sports games. I mean, obviously Madden. I remember Madden on the Wii U. It didn't have the Infinity engine, which EA and their freaking engines. They didn't have the Infinity engine, which did better group tackling, or whatever the case was. So Madden was missing the Infinity engine. Outside of that, it was an okay port, but it was missing the Infinity engine. Which was on the PS3 and 360. And then I guess the Infinity engine is gone now at this point, and now they're moving it over to, like I said, I don't trust EA whenever they talk about engines, to be honest. Unless they're talking about a first-person shooter, then I'm like, all right, everything they're saying is true. But when they start talking about Frostbite in FIFA and Frostbite in Madden, I'm like, all right, because I saw what Frostbite did to Mass Effect. So, but whatever. So let's go ahead and let's get into another thing as far as like with the third-party support with the Switch and what we're seeing. So I think we kind of both agree with what went on with Wii U kind of affected things here. But do you feel, because there's a lot of, like you said, listings with Fallout 4, I want to just go, of course you don't have to answer, but my fan base would kill me if I didn't ask you. Is there anything that you're hearing that's been unannounced at this point that you could you say, or that could you tease? Like, is there anything that you know of that you don't feel the ninjas would come after you if that you could let people know about here? And like I said, you don't have to, but like I said, my families would kill me because you did know. I mean, I know there was a number of people who knew about what Switch was beforehand, but Nate was adamant, and he checked me. He didn't care how many subscribers I had. Nate checked me multiple times on Twitter. By the way, guys, Nate doesn't care. That's what I love about you, Nate. That's what I love about. But you're nice enough to just. You just brushed it aside. You just brushed it. And I was being kind of a jerk a little bit to you on Twitter. Nothing horrible, but still a little bit of a jerk. And Nate checked me multiple times, and he was right. And he was right on what happened with the Switch. He knew beforehand. So there's definitely credibility there. He's gotten things right on the past. Guys, just to let you know, this isn't just some random guy who knows nothing, okay? He's gotten a lot of things right. So, Nate, is there anything that you could potentially say or tease maybe?
Well, I mean, earlier this year, I did post up on Twitter that LA Noire is coming to Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and I still stand by that. It is going to happen. I know it's not exactly a big release, but that's a cool title for Switch to getting. Whether anyone cares about LA Noire is a bigger question. But I can't get into any specifics about things to come. But I will say that there are a lot of things still to be announced, and I think when they are announced, it's definitely going to excite the Switch base. I just can't really drop, a really specific hint as to what these titles are going to be.
But there's stuff coming that you've heard of.
And it's definitely stuff people want.
Okay, stuff that it's more of the bigger type of games potentially.
Yeah, it's not. I'm not talking, like a cool indie release. These are going to be some really cool big games that are going to excite the Switch base, and people are going to really sit there and say, I'm buying this on the Switch. I might not get this PS4 version because I want the Switch one. I'm
going to say I told you so when those come, because I said this from the very beginning, and maybe you can chime in on this as well. It's like, look, sales dictate a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, sales dictate a number of things, Sales dictate a number of things. And with the Switch, the difference, like, with the Wii U, it's just like, not only did they see that their games weren't selling, but they just saw that the system wasn't selling. So why invest? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So just why invest? But third-party developers can clearly see that the system's selling. I mean, I said it was going to be similar to, like, a Wii situation. Third-party developers like, GameCube didn't sell. We're not going to have much, I mean, some third parties were putting stuff out, but it was just like PS2 ports. And then they started seeing that the system was selling. It's like, okay, put teams on this. Let's do this. I mean, and while there was shovelware, there were actually a lot of good games on the Wii from third-party developers. There were actually a lot of custom...
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of hidden gems on that library.
Absolutely. A lot of hidden gems, a lot of custom-made games that really took advantage of the Wii. Stuff like Medal of Honor, Heroes, that was pretty good on the Wii.
Red Steel 2 was
phenomenal,
an excellent game, but Red Steel was so bad that no one cared about the sequel.
Exactly, that was the biggest problem. Is that it was just, I remember, and I really remember that time. I was in college at that point, and I remember the biggest thing that I saw people saying was, "Well, Red Steel 1 sucked," and they took out multiplayer. That was the things that I was hearing, is that they took out multiplayer and Red Steel 1 sucked. Like, maybe if they included multiplayer, which I think in that game multiplayer would have been really dope, So, So I was hoping that there was a review, but after the sales, I mean, they went to work on, I think they were working on For Honor later after that. They've been working on For Honor for a number of years, the people who did Red Steel 2. But yeah, the Wii had a ton of great games. A lot of developers just started, putting some teams on there. Obviously, they weren't all the best quality, but there was still a lot of hidden gems. I mean, if you go through the Wii's library and you look at it, and you'd be like, man, this game was pretty good. This game was pretty good. This game was pretty good,
Some of it just came down to it wasn't the games people wanted. You had Capcom come out with the Resident Evil light gun series. Was it Dark Chronicles?
Dark Side Chronicles and Umbrella Chronicles.
Yeah. But people wanted... Resident Evil 5. They wanted a real Resident Evil. You didn't get it. People wanted a real Dead Space. You got Dead Space Extraction. So it was just like, people ignored them because they're like, well, these aren't the games I wanted from you. Like, cool, they look neat, but I'm not buying it because I wanted Dead Space 1.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think that's kind of happening here with the Switch a little bit, in that fans are getting upset about... They're getting announced, like Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2 gets announced. But what do the Switch people complain about? Where's my Disney game collection? Instead of complaining about the things you're not getting and you probably don't really care about, be happy with what you're getting almost day to date with the other systems. Instead of saying, where's Mega Man? like, why can't you be like, you're actually getting some decent support, but you're so focused on not getting a late port of some NES games that you're missing what's actually being offered by these third parties.
And another thing is that I was like, okay, well, where's Mega Man? But I'm like, well, the Switch kind of has their own exclusive Mega Man franchise. It's called Azure Striker Gumball.
And it's better.
Exactly. Look, I know a lot of people they get their feathers all ruffled whenever people say this, but Azure Striker Gumball is better than Mega Man. It just is. I haven't played a Mega Man game maybe outside of the X series, but that's when I was a kid. Okay, and the X series was so cool that in my opinion that equals Azure Striker Gumball. But even then, Azure Striker Gumball has everything the X series has and then more. It completely blows the X series out, and even just Mega Man, and just in general as far as what you can do. I mean, and you can tell when you play the game that this was developed by Mega Man dudes. Like you have the cutouts, like you have their themed bases, you have like their eyes and everything. They talk before it's like you can completely tell that, hey, these dudes made Mega Man. They're trying to make a Mega Man-ish type of game, but it's better than Mega Man. And we have a striker pack, that's coming exclusively. Like PS4,
exactly.
PS4 and Xbox One, they don't get Striker Pack. We get the Striker Pack.
Yeah. Would you rather have the Striker Pack that has awesome games that aren't 20 years old, or have Mega Man 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11? I'd rather have the Striker Pack. These are newer games. They're better games, and they give me better value than I'm reliving the games from 1995
again and again and again, because this is not the first time that they've re-released these games. Like, they've been re-released multiple times. So I mean, I would hope that everyone, instead of complaining about the Mega Man, would go buy Azure Striker Gumball, because that is a phenomenal game. I've been playing it quite a bit. It's phenomenal. It's absolutely, it has HD Rumble. It has all the DLC, extra content, and they actually fine-tuned the balance and tweak things up. It even controls tighter than before. It plays better than before. Oh, and they doubled the frame rate, by the way, guys. And they doubled the frame rate to 60, by the way, just to let you guys know. I mean, it was 30, I think, on the 3DS. They doubled it to 60. So
it's like, instead of stop ignoring what you have that's almost in the same genre, and instead of say, oh, well, I'm not getting this. Look at what's being offered to you and buy that instead of bitching that you didn't get a half-ass nostalgia-grabbed port.
Yeah, which the Mega Man Legacy Collection is. In my opinion, I mean, there's a couple new things that they've done, but I don't think it compares to the Striker, the Gumball Pack. And there's so many games. I mean, I think another thing that we need to also realize here is that, I mean, most people don't have, money and time. That's something that a lot of people, especially older, don't always have. You don't always have. I mean, it took us a while just to get this, set up, because both of us are pretty busy with a lot of stuff.
And you bring up a good point, is that I feel like people just go on forums or Twitter and they complain that, Switch isn't getting this game, but it just got 30 games in the last month, and the person will be sitting there saying, I bought all those games, but I need new games. How do you, and if you have infinite funds and infinite time, then I can understand your plight. You might want that game, but for normal people, we can't keep up with what's happening anyways.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you a question about that, because it's interesting, because I've always said that with Nintendo, I mean, I talked about this with Shadow Fox, but Nintendo with their releases, third-party developers have to definitely be careful as far as when they release the game, because of everything that's coming to the Switch. So what's your take on third-party developers saying, okay, well, we're going to strategically release in 2018, or at least Nintendo working with them to say, hey, maybe it'd be better if your game came out at this point and you can have these certain types of things? Because obviously, if you throw all of the third-party games on the Nintendo Switch right now, with the limited, I mean, the install base is growing, right? But compared to PS4 and Xbox One, I would say it's small.
It's still nothing.
So are you on that board as far as thinking that definitely third-party developers are also looking at that install base and waiting for that? I mean, I know we talked about it a little bit, but maybe can you talk about that as far as what's your take on that?
I think some developers are probably taking that to heart when they're figuring out their release dates, and it definitely does help them in some way, just because, we'll look at Mario Rabbids. It basically had its release date until Pokken hits to itself in terms of competing against Nintendo. But then you have EA and 2K, or Take-Two, where they're releasing FIFA and NBA 2K day to day with the other versions. And that's beneficial to them because now there's no excuse for the Switch version to sell poorly, whereas you had people buying the PS4 version of NBA because they didn't want to wait 3 weeks to get the Switch version. So that's actually good for those companies, whereas other titles like Rabbids or we'll say, what's another random third-party game?
Xenoverse 2?
Yeah, we'll say Xenoverse 2. Like that, I mean, obviously it had no chance of coming out anywhere near the other versions, but it's going to come out in a time where there's really nothing in that genre to compete against it. So it has its own time to shine on a platform that doesn't have that genre flooded. So you have, I want a Dragon Ball game, I want an RPG fighter. Well, there's Xenoverse. Well, there's no other option on the Switch right now that's going to compete against that. So it's taken care of, so that fan base is going to come in, buy that game, and then just enjoy it until, Mario Odyssey comes out, or Skyrim, or Xenoblade.
Fire Emblem Warriors is coming out, I think,
Yeah.
a week before Odyssey, so that's going to be a packed October. September's actually pretty good for third-party support.
Yeah, we got Rayman, FIFA, NBA, Xenoverse,
Pokken.
Pokken.
Yeah.
You got quite a spread of games across all different genres.
Yeah.
Never mind indie releases and digital exclusives.
Oh man, those indie releases! I'm telling you, man, these indie developers they're stepping up their game quite a bit. And like I said, I'm not sure how you play your Switch. Maybe it'd be a good time to get into that. But the indie developers with the Switch, I think it's such a perfect system for indie developers because like with the indie game, I don't know about you. Like I said, I've always felt kind of weird. Like indie games, if I have time, am I going to spend a ton of time sitting in front of my TV playing this pixelated like indie game or type of indie game? Whereas with the Switch, it just seems more convenient to play indie games because I've never played like Graceful Explosion Machine. I think I played it one time on the TV, and that was like I think I was streaming it. I might have been streaming it for a bit, and that was the only time. But outside of that, I've played Graceful Explosion Machine. To be honest, it's like I'm in the bathroom, and that's what I can. and I literally beat the game from just bathroom time. So I mean, this is a game like it came out on PS4. I would never buy this game on PS4. Absolutely, or PC. I would not even waste my time with this game if it wasn't on Switch. So what's your take on that?
I'm in total agreement with you on that because I look at some of the indie games I have on the Switch and I think about it. I'm like, I would never have bought this game on my PS4 or the Xbox One because I don't want to sit in front of my TV while I'm playing, I'll say like Namco Museum. But sitting on the couch while I have a basketball game on in the background or a baseball game or football coming up or just laying in bed for 15 minutes, grabbing the Switch, playing a game really quick, it's just, it's convenient. I'd rather play those type of games in a handheld form for convenience just because I don't feel like I'm wasting time, if that makes any sense.
Oh, it does. That makes sense, yeah.
Like if I'm sitting in front of my TV playing Cave Story Plus, I kind of feel like, I just wasted a half an hour playing this indie game. If I'm sitting on the couch doing nothing, but I'm playing it in handheld form, I'm like, I'm watching baseball and I'm playing Cave Story. I got something done.
You got two things done. You watched your baseball game and you can play a game. And that's the thing that I've noticed. Like I remember, this will be the first year of football season with the Switch. So I think this is going to be awesome because football games, gosh, the advertising in football games, man, like the commercials, the amount of commercials. Obviously football is a very, it's fast in between the snaps, but it's slow overall because huddling, breaking, waiting, penalties. You know what I'm saying? Like it just takes forever. So like Switch is perfect for that.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
I just wish there was a Madden on the Switch.
Yeah, I think a Madden would have been. Good. I know they put FIFA because the world's game, right? So FIFA's more popular, but it would have been cool for if they put a Madden on there. But I just don't think FIFA just doesn't believe in they just don't believe in the Nintendo right now. Maybe next year though.
Hopefully next year they have that confidence to bring a Madden out because a portable Madden for people to be at work and you're on your lunch break, look over, split off that Joy-Con, say, let's play a half. You got your half hour, you're sitting there, you play a quick half of football, you go back to work, works out, you say, okay, let's finish the game really quick. why wouldn't you want to do that? I mean, that's what people are going to be doing with FIFA. It's already what people do with Mario Kart and Street Fighter, or and they're going to be doing with Rocket League, by the end of the year.
Yes,
It's all about that.
Yeah, Madden would be something that I would not buy Madden on PS4 and Xbox One. At least I stopped buying Madden on PS4 and Xbox One. But if they put Madden on the Switch, I would wait for it to go, because it always gets that price drop at Black Friday. It comes out in August, and then it gets that price drop, and you can get it for $30 to $40 at Best Buy pretty much every single year, like when it comes out. So I would definitely wait and then pick it up on the Switch if I can play it because I wouldn't play that on my TV because Madden games take way too long. But if I can just put it in, if I can put it in suspend mode and play and then put it in suspend mode when I'm editing a video, then finish out a game by the time that I'm done, because I edit a lot of videos a day. I'm always sitting at my computer editing videos. So I mean, if I could do that, that would be dope. If I'm waiting for my training session when I go train people, and I can just I sit in my car and I wait for them to come. Usually get like 10-15 minutes. That would be pretty cool. So hopefully,
I probably actually would do like a whole franchise season in Madden on the Switch, because it would just be like, I could play 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. Whereas you can't really do that on the console. You don't want to sit in front of your TV for an hour to say, my guy broke his ankle. Now I got to wait for him to heal. I lost the game. My stats went down. I just wasted an hour doing shit.
Yeah, I 100% agree, man. 100% agree. So, kind of moving on a little bit, I want to talk about Final Fantasy, because the news came out recently about Final Fantasy 15, and once again, more confusion. When I first watched it, I did not think that they were talking about Pocket Edition at all. And then there's been more news since then. So let me just get your first impressions of what you thought when you watched it. Did you think they were talking about Pocket Edition at all when you first watched that clip?
I kind of got a mix. Kind of like I felt like they were talking about if they were going to bring the vanilla version of Final Fantasy 15 to Switch, it would be the Pocket Edition. But then they almost kind of hint at any future stuff to do with the 15 franchise might come to Switch. Okay. So it was kind of like a mix of the two.
And you'd be okay because I remember you put up a post on Twitter saying that you think it'd be okay if the Pocket Edition came over.
Yeah, I'd be okay with the Pocket Edition. I mean, I want some enhancements over the Pocket Edition itself, visually, because the Switch could do better than that. I just don't see them really porting over that PS4 version in any sense of fidelity where we're getting it on the Switch, where it's running well, keeps up good visuals, has the world running as people know it on the PS4 or Xbox One. So I think the Pocket Edition is just kind of their way of saying, we want to give the Switch Final Fantasy 15, and this is the best way we can do it.
And I've said this before, I would not want that to happen at all. I would not want that to happen at all. I know Spawnwave put out a video because IGN talked to Hajime Tabata about the Pocket Edition, and he asked them hey, is there a chance, or what's going to happen with the Switch? And then he said, yeah, it's definitely a chance. But then he started saying all these things, but there's no button controls in there right at this point, and we'd have to look back and say that if this is going to make sense. So I don't know. I look at it and I see the Pocket Edition, and it's built for single-handed play, so they'd have to build in controls for it, and on top of that, it'd be a late Pocket Edition. It'd be a super late Pocket Edition, and everyone, like I said, I haven't seen a single person that's been well, not a single person, there's obviously some, but I think people want the console experience on the go. You know what I'm saying? We don't want Madden.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We don't want Madden All-Star Edition. You remember those Maddens that the Wii got?
Yeah.
We wouldn't want that Madden. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what I see this Pocket Edition as. It's like the All-Star editions, the all play, where it has instead of having a guy frowning and tackling somebody, it has Brett Favre smiling and pointing at the camera. As Peyton Manning signing an autograph and holding kissing a baby. You know what I'm saying? So it has stars and bright backgrounds, and they're everyone can join it. I mean, that's kind of how I saw. That's kind of how I saw the Pocket Edition. And then I know when Madden started doing that, I started looking at it, I'm okay, well, I'm definitely not buying Madden on the Wii at this point.
Yeah, Oh, what the hell they were thinking with that?
Yeah, I'm
They're like,
not.
oh, we made it family friendly. Like, what?
I think families just want to play the normal. I mean, if they would have just went with the same old PS2 engine and just adding features to that, I think people would have been happy. I don't know if
Yeah.
adding big heads all of a sudden, oh, well, it's family friendly now.
Yeah.
You got a big head, like.
Yeah, Madden Me edition. Brett Favre's head's the size of the field, and he smiles, and you two-hand touch him, and he shakes your hand after. Like, what the hell is this?
It's two-hand touch.
Roger Goodell presents Safe Football.
The committee on safe football. There, no
No
direct,
concussions today.
no direct blows to the head, no targeting, no illegal hits. Yeah, man. But yeah, I think overall, if they did decide to bring over Final Fantasy, I would hope that they would just make a brand new type of Final Fantasy. If that's the thing, I mean, like, I hope they would think that the Switch is worth it in order to make Final Fantasy, like, make another Final Fantasy game or bring over a version of Final Fantasy that does justice to, you know, what they were, at least trying to do, the original vision of the game.
Yeah, I mean, Square definitely seems to be 100% behind the Switch. I mean, we had, I Am Setsuna, The Lost Sphere, Dragon Quest Builders, Dragon Quest, Heroes, we got Dragon Quest 11, Dragon Quest 10, Project Octopath.
Yeah, Octopath is getting some it's getting some love at TGS this year. They're gonna have a stage show for the game. So
yeah, so I mean, Square is definitely all there. So I mean, it might just be for them really a case of, if we can't get this Luminous engine running well on the Switch to get 15 there in its original form, we'll make this compromise with this Pocket Edition, make it a little better, and at least give the Switch fans 15. So that if we decide to bring, they have like that DLC multiplayer for Final Fantasy 15 or something planned. Or
Comrades.
Yeah, so if they wanted to bring that to Switch, maybe they could actually bring that in its full form, and at least you have the backstory of 15 to have a little bit of knowledge of the characters and whatnot.
So I guess it's like the classic, it's better than nothing, right?
Yeah.
The classic,
like, we didn't give you 15, but here's all this other shit, and people are like, well, I still want 15. They're like, well, we can give you this compromise version, or you get nothing. We're like, well, I'll take the compromise version, because at least I get to play it in some form.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's people in the chat that are saying that they're looking forward. I know Natasha said that she's really looking forward to playing Final Fantasy 15 on Steam because of all the graphics, super graphics they're gonna add. They're gonna add to it. Yeah, it's definitely gonna look good on the PC. I was all down because I mean I have a decent PC to where I can play games that look better than PS4 and they can run better than PS4 and Xbox One. But then I saw that file size and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm good. I literally, and I'm not saying that just to say, like, I literally said, like, I saw the file size, I was like, did they just say 170 gigabytes? I was like, I think I'm good. Honestly,
that shit's insane.
Yeah, that doesn't respect my time at all. Like I really
no. No, it's not a respect of time. It's not a respect of my hard drive space. Yeah. It's not respecting anything.
It's like that's just too much. like
yeah.
Yeah, it's 170 gigabytes no matter what, even so.
Yeah, it's giving you the finger while giving you like a cupcake. It's like, kind of telling you to go fuck yourself, but we're being nice to you because we gave you the game with all these extras.
Yeah,
Thanks. But
yeah, man. Yeah, I agree. But so yeah, that's kind of like what Final Fantasy 15. Obviously, we've talked. I've exhausted this topic. I don't know if you can tell, kind of in my voice, but I'm about done with this because Final Fantasy 15. I don't think it's personally to me. I don't think it's good enough to even sit here and say, oh, let's get a Pocket Edition, to Switch. I don't think the game, the core game and its value isn't good enough to say let's get a lower end version of this game to bring to Switch. It's a good game. Don't get me wrong. It's a good game. It's definitely a good game. But there are a lot better RPGs that are out there.
Yeah.
Dragon Quest 11 from everything that I've seen absolutely blows Final Fantasy 15 out of the water.
I almost wonder if that's if I'm Square and I'm looking at the resources that maybe it would take me to port the PS4 version of Final Fantasy 15 to Switch, and I'm like, this is going to cost a lot of money. It's not going to get that many sales. The core game really isn't that good. But if we could do this Pocket Edition for pretty cheap, and we only need 300,000, 400,000 sales worldwide to recoup cost. It's that simple solution.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's absolutely true. I mean, you're seeing Final Fantasy 15 everywhere, and I think I made a joke on Twitter at one point. I was like, okay, well, maybe the Switch is getting the Final Fantasy 15, the other mobile edition, the one where it's like, come join my army. It's like, ding, ding, ding. It shows Noctis, then all of a sudden it goes to over the top isometric, what was, I don't know what those type of games are called on the mobile, where like you build bases and you.
You
defend against like the armies coming into your base. I'm like, they are really milk. And then I saw like Noctis running like a Ezio on top of buildings with this Assassin's Creed thing. And I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, they have milked that franchise so far, that numbered franchise, for what they can in every genre possible. I'm waiting. I mean, now you got Cup of Ramen DLC, and I'm waiting for like a first-person shooter based on Final Fantasy 15 to come out.
Well, there actually kind of is. It's called Prompto's whatever. So Prompto.
Oh God.
I kid you not. There's actually a shooter. Prompto has a whole DLC piece where it's a third-person shooter, but it like zooms in pretty close, and Prompto just shoots the whole time. So you know what? That's already. They're already there. It's just all shooting with Prompto. They have to get their money back somehow. I'm almost positive they have not made their money back on that game.
I mean, yeah, they claim they did, but I don't believe that. They're like, we got it back on the first day. Like, yeah, maybe when it became Final Fantasy 15 in name, you did not recoup the cost of Versus 13 for the last decade.
There is no way they recouped the cost from the last decade of developing that game exclusively for the PlayStation 3 system.
Yeah.
Scrapping all the plans that you had, changing directors multiple times, the overtime that all of those developers worked, everything. I mean, maybe you're not factoring that in, but whatever.
Yeah.
That was not a small team, okay? All of that stuff, and then having directors go through mental breakdowns and switching off the project and switching over to other things, and then switching the game to PS4 and Xbox One, developing your engine from scratch onto there, and then now you're trying to sit here and tell me that you recouped everything. No, you didn't.
Yeah, no, you didn't. That's why we have all these ridiculous spin-offs based on 15. That's why we have a mobile game. That's why we have Pocket Edition, because you're like, we need to make money any way we can, and we're putting in as little investment on our side to try to make money back on this franchise.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like I think that eventually they'll probably make it back with all the mobile stuff, because people on mobile are crazy. So maybe they will eventually make it back. But I just don't think, I think they would have to have easily sold I would probably say 7 or 8 million on day one for that to happen. I think that's what they're probably expecting. They're probably expecting that many, but they didn't get that many. But like I said, this is just us speculating, I think, right? We don't have any hard numbers to sit here, and I'm just looking at the time of development, what went down, what happening. I mean, it's not cheap to pay developers. These aren't underpaid type of, well, some of them are, but a lot of people aren't, especially when it comes to these type of things. They get paid nice, they have good salaries, and we're developing this game, maybe not completely through, but for the better part of a decade. There were people working on this full time, and then some. And then crunch time, you know what I'm saying? And then
you had the huge patch come out after release to kind of fix the game.
Yeah,
so that was even more people working on the game for even longer.
And then the marketing, oh my God, the marketing with this game, it was everywhere. It was absolutely, they hired Kind of Funny Games. I mean, to host it. I mean, they're not cheap. Have you ever seen their Patreon? They're not cheap. You want to hang out with them for a day? It's like $5,000. Charge them $5,000 just to hang out with people, man. I wonder what they're charging to actually do a whole show. Or $3,000. I mean, I'm not sure. I know it's multiple. It's a couple grand to hang out with them. So pretty sure they're charging a lot more to do a whole show for you with all of them there. And then you're hiring Aaron Paul for movies and. And all that stuff. He's not cheap either. That's
the other thing. They came out with that movie. I mean, that wasn't just a free project.
No.
You hired voice actors. You had to develop. You had to make the movie.
Yeah, you know, one of the things somebody in the chat says here, I want to get some more fan interaction here. I forgot who said it. He said Final Fantasy 12. Would you like to see Final Fantasy 12? Oh, here we go. Brada Spiff, he says, would you like to see Final Fantasy 12 on the Switch? I mean, do you think that's probably a better... I mean, obviously the tech would be better, right? And there's been some rumors popping up around that same team that ported, or that did Final Fantasy 12 is working on the Switch. So would you rather see that instead?
No.
No?
I wouldn't know. You know, I hated Final Fantasy 12 when it came out on the PS2. I couldn't stand Vaughn. I hated how his character looked. I hated the characters in that game in every way imaginable. I could not stand those people. I enjoyed it on the PS4, but it's still, that game is just so convoluted that I just don't, I wouldn't want to play it on the Switch. I'd rather see them bring back some of the classic Final Fantasies. Go back to 6. Go to 8, 9. I would rather see 10 come over to Switch with X2 than see Final Fantasy 12. Or maybe even the 13 trilogy. I mean, they're not great, but maybe they'll be a little more tolerable on the go.
I remember when I played Final Fantasy, I played Lightning Returns, or not Lightning Returns. I did play that, but that game's, oh god, that's when I was like, okay, the only reason that game even had any type of, Lightning was just popular. That's probably it in Japan. She was just popular. That's the only reason why people bought that game in Japan. They're like, we like Lightning. That was the only reason why that game sold in Japan, was like, we like the main character. The games were not good. They were not, well, Final Fantasy X2 is, it's bearable.
It's a pop star singing crazy.
Sorry, I didn't mean to say X2. I meant Final Fantasy 13
Oh,
2.
yeah.
Is it called 13 2?
Yeah. I think it is called 13-2.
13 2. That was bearable, but
yeah, it's bearable in the way 13 was bearable.
They fixed some stuff from 13, but the battle system is still kind of like you watching, and then like it's like stuff's going on, right? Like.
Yeah, you hit X, and all of a sudden they did like a 30-hit combo, and you're just standing there like, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, and then there's just, like I said, there's just so many issues with the battle system, like the restrictions that are placed on you. The game doesn't open. I mean, as far as Final Fantasy 13 itself, but I guess we're not going to turn this into a bashing Final Fantasy 13 session. I already had enough of those when I was in college. Me and my college roommate, we argued about Final Fantasy 13 all the time. Like, all the time we would argue about Final Fantasy 13. But yeah, so, I mean, I think, like, if they did bring over, like, let's say, like, Final Fantasy 13 trilogy, would I buy it? Probably. But that's just out of, like...
It'd be like kind of out of like curiosity.
Exactly. Like, well, how would this play on Switch? Like, would I like this portable? Like, maybe this game would be bearable portable. You know, with its passive battle system. Like, I can just play it during, I can play it during a game or something like that. I can just
where it's like I'm in a tunnel because the game was just this linear straight line for the first 40 hours. Where it's kind of like, okay, I'm not gonna get lost. I just have to walk straight. So it's like, I played for 15 minutes, got into a battle. Put the system in sleep mode, pick it up 3 days later and be like, oh yeah, I forgot I was playing this, but I know where to go and what to do.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
Exactly. I mean, Lightning Returns is completely different. Like, that game is like more action-ish, so that battle system is like, so I mean, it would just be interesting to see it on there, but I doubt that they're gonna take the time.
I think they're kind of done with that. They're like 15 is our new cow to milk.
Yeah, basically. All right, well, I think we had a lot of great topics. Definitely, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I think you're on Eastern time, so I know it's getting kind of late where you're at. So let's go ahead and let's take some questions from the audience here, guys. If you have any questions for us or something that you want us to mention, you can specify Nate or you can specify myself or just both of us in general.
Yeah, who wants to hear about that PlayStation Vita 2?
Let's talk about that real quick. I forgot. Thank you for reminding me. So Nate, I'm not gonna sit here and deny that there isn't some type of device. Maybe there is, okay? But you feel that there is no PS Vita 2 because this is a rumor been going around with the PS Vita 2. Like Sony's making, well, maybe not even the PS Vita 2, like a PlayStation Portable, a new PlayStation Portable that's supposed to compete and dethrone it.
Yeah, it's supposed to be this threat to Nintendo and the Switch, where Nintendo has to come out later this year and be like, wait a minute, guys, we still have a mega bomb to drop on you. Oh, take that, Sony. Yeah, I mean, mean, think about these rumors and these teases about this thing. Let's see. I mean, no other outlet in the known civilized world of video game reporting has reported on these rumors. There's a few little things on the internet talking about it, and I don't understand how it's even gaining steam, because there's been no leaks. Anybody I talk to, whether they're developers, publishers, they're all, what? We would know about this device because we'd be making things for it. So where's this rumor rooting from?
Are you the patents? You remember the patents that came out?
Yeah, but I mean, Nintendo had a patent of a horse saddle for the Wii. They didn't release it. Because there was a patent of. Yeah. I mean, they literally, the patent has this like baby sitting on a horse saddle, and like he's riding the horse. I mean,
what kind of stupidity is that?
Exactly. I mean, I saw someone on Twitter was saying, "Oh, Sony's expecting to sell 2 million fewer PS4s this year, but they're expecting to make $2 billion extra dollars." Yeah, and in the financial slide from Sony, they detail where that money's coming from. It's not new hardware. It's from PlayStation Plus subscriptions and software sales.
So you don't think that there's any chance that Sony announces some type of revision to the PS Vita? Maybe that.
If they announce a revision where it's just a Vita and it's still the Vita and it's just, slightly improved, then I think this teasing is that's just terrible. Because that's like teasing that Nintendo is making a new Mario game that's going to come out in the future. Like, okay, no shit. Like a remodeled Vita, how's that a threat to Nintendo? Like, ooh.
But even if it wasn't a threat, let's just say, just in general, they're just coming out with something because Sony. Let's just say Sony's like, okay, well, we do have like the PSP sold well, even though people played Nintendo games on the PSP, it still sold well. It's still sold. What if they're just like thinking? I'm playing devil's advocate here, obviously.
Yeah.
If they're like, hey, we sold well with the PS Vita, or sorry, the PSP, and like with the PS Vita, we just messed up the memory. Like that's the thing that we just messed that up. What if we come out with something that's better? That's that can hook up to your PS4 and somehow play PS4 games too, or download those and play on the go. You don't think that anything like that is possible?
No way. Because I mean, at this point, Sony has no point in competing in that market anymore. Right now. Their focus is squarely on PS4 and trying to push PlayStation VR. Back when the Vita came out, they wanted to push the handheld market, PS3, and they had some of their focus on PS4. But they had development teams like Sony Bend make Uncharted for Vita. Now Sony Bend's making PlayStation 4 games. Guerrilla is making games for PlayStation VR. So what studios is Sony using to make games for this mystical new PlayStation Portable? They don't have those teams anymore. A lot of companies have shut down that previously did that for Sony. So their focus isn't in the handheld market. They know that it's not there. And then I had Spawnwave tweet at me the picture of Yoshida at the Switch event in January in Japan of him taking pictures. The man is a gaming fan. He went to a trade show to play the Switch. I mean, do people think he was spying out in public?
Maybe.
I mean, he just sat there like, I'm at a Nintendo event. Nobody knows who I am. I have to take pictures of a device coming out in 2 months where I could just buy it and give it to my engineers and they could cut it in half and say, wow, how can we make this better? Mm-hmm. I mean, the gaming industry doesn't work like that. There's no corporate espionage.
Are you sure there's no real life Metal Gear like Snake that's working for Sony? I know they've always been pretty tight with Sony. Are you sure that Snake is not, David Hayter's not dressed up literally as Solid Snake and making sure that they? No, I'm joking.
He snuck into Nintendo's HQ and stole a Switch and went to Sony and said, "Here it is, guys." And they're like, "Oh my god, we have to beat them to market." Yeah.
I'm in. I'm in. What do I do now? Mission. Yeah, man. So okay, well, that's what you think, obviously.
If something happens, I want to see. I just don't understand how there's been. I mean, let's look at the NX. We'll go back exactly 1 year ago when you and I went back and forth on Twitter on things.
And
Eurogamers,
you were right, by the way.
There.
And you were right, by the way. And I'm gonna sit here and say that I was completely wrong, and I was wrong for what I said, and you bodied me. So I'm gonna be very humble right now and say that you checked me multiple times, and I'm thankful you did, because that you and Liam Robertson and Emily Rogers and all of you guys put me in my place. And dang it, I think I'm better off because of you guys. So I want to say thank you again on that. So go ahead.
So like 1 year ago, we have Eurogamer sitting there saying, this is what the Enix is going to be. And we had you and a couple of other individuals who were drinking Kool-Aid saying, Eurogamer, you're out of your mind. Like, it's going to be this. And then more time goes on and Eurogamer's like, yo, it's going to be this. And then more and more people are coming out saying, it's NVIDIA, it's going to be this. AMD's not there. And then all of a sudden, it just comes down to, a handful of people saying, no, it's definitely AMD with a super-powered console. And it was like no legitimate outlet reported on these AMD rumors. It stayed in this small circle on Twitter and somehow found its way to Reddit. And what happened? Those rumors turned out to be completely bogus. Mm-hmm. There wasn't even a bit of truth to any of that information that was being spread. So with this PlayStation Portable 3 or Sony new hardware that's going to mess Nintendo up or something, if there was a code name, if there was a dev kit, somebody would have reported on this, since we're only 2 weeks apparently out from this magical reveal. And there's no talk outside of Twitter and YouTube.
Okay. And like I said, I think we said this. I said this to you privately. I'm not going to talk about everything that we've talked about, but I was like, I'm not going to get bodied again. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm not gonna go hardcore to one side or another. All I'm going to say is that I'm definitely looking at what you said, and I'm definitely looking at. I mean, like, if Eurogamer's not reporting on it, it makes me like, okay, well, why isn't Eurogamer?
Or even IGN or Kotaku or.
But Eurogamer's been on the forefront. They got this. They've got this thing with the Switch right. They got the PlayStation 4 Pro right. They got the PlayStation 4 Slim right. They got I think they even got the Xbox One X, and I think they maybe even have some reports about that. So
yeah, so it's just like, if they're not hearing this, how is there? I mean, as I said to like one person, kind of, I was like, I don't understand if it's just arrogance that we have a small sector who thinks they exclusively have this information and no one else in the world does, or if it's just being gullible and believing that you're just believing someone who's feeding you nonsense. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't understand really why it's happening again.
Yeah. The fact that, like I said, I'm much more inclined, and I've actually I've had a conversation with some of the people over at Eurogamer, and I apologize. Just like I think I went on an apology tour. I literally went on like an apology tour. I'm like, I gotta say sorry to all these people, even if I didn't say anything. Like, I gotta say sorry to all these people. So and they were all very nice. They were all very nice to me, you included, everyone, and Eurogamer was of the opinion just like, hey, well, look, we're just going, like, when we hear something and we're confident about it, then we'll say it. So that put a lot, like, I don't have 100% faith in Eurogamer, but I have a lot more faith as far as when it comes to reporting than before. And I do want to get into somebody, Miru. He donated $2 through Super Chat saying rumors, So thank you so much for the donation. I do appreciate the $2 donation. So yeah, let's go and let's get into some questions, right? I think you made your point across with this, and I'm much more inclined, like I said, to just take a wait and see approach. But I mean, like you said, I mean, I don't really see much.
Yeah, I mean, if I happen to be wrong on this, props to the people who reported it early, got it right. Mm-hmm. My thing, if you have this information, why are you teasing it, waiting for the event to happen, and then you're going to come out after the fact to say, this is what I talked about? Because, I could say, hey, something big's going to happen next week. And then, Capcom announces, what, a Monster Hunter Super Ultra Edition. And then me coming on Twitter saying, yeah, told you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If I'm vague, I can be right about anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Agreed. All right, man. Well, let's go and let's get into some of these questions. I know Jump On was saying, I don't want to talk about any particular people in general because he's mentioning one particular person. We already discussed what people's opinions were about No More Heroes, as far as people calling it a minigame collection and things like that. So we already discussed that, and everyone here pretty much knows at this point that No More Heroes is not that. So it's definitely a 3D action game. So if you guys have any questions, please let me know. I'm going to scroll through here and look at some of the questions that you guys have to say. So what do you guys got for us? We're going to be on for a little bit more. Let me type it in the chat. So one, I think it's a Spider Monkey. That's what it's abbreviated. He said, "What about the big Nintendo news?" So, do you feel that there's any big Nintendo news coming in, Nate? Because I guess there's people teasing huge Nintendo news, like big potentially hardware news. I mean, I'm not sure. So.
Oh God,
no
big hardware news. I don't see hardware news. Software news, yeah. I mean, we got Tokyo Game Show coming up. We know there's going to be a direct before the end of the year. I mean, it'll probably be sometime in September. So Nintendo, it definitely probably has a couple bombs to drop on us in terms of announcements. Hardware, I mean, let's just look at this logically. They can't produce enough Switches to meet market demand. Why would they announce more hardware?
That's a good point.
Like, we can't keep up with demand. Hey, I got an idea. Let's release another piece of Switch hardware.
Well, you know what the funny thing was that there were some people that were saying, "Oh, well, I remember like the Super Nintendo Classic. I had many people tell me, oh, this is not going to happen. Like, it's not real." And I was like, "No, it's probably like, oh, well, we can't keep like Nintendo can't even keep up with demand for the Switch." I'm like, "Well, it's different parts, you know, but this is not the same case with the Switch. It'd be using the same type of parts if there's some type of new hardware, at least somewhat same type of parts." So yeah, I agree there. I don't know if there's going to be any new hardware, but yeah, software.
Yeah,
tons of big news coming probably. So we have another question over here from T-Dude. He says, do you think Square Enix will spill the beans on Final Fantasy 15 and Octopath Traveler for the Switch? Final Fantasy 15, no. Octopath Traveler, yeah, that's already confirmed. So we talked about that a little bit.
Yeah.
So
I would expect that they have to show or discuss Dragon Quest 11 at some point soon too.
Yeah, I think that would be something that that they definitely have to talk about. They're saying that they're doing some optimizations right now, so hopefully by the time it's done and optimized, we'll be good to go. So here's another question from Falcon Launch. He says, "Hey, DFG and OJ, here's a third-party question. What is one of the third-party series announcements for the Nintendo Switch that would really show Nintendo has gotten third parties back on board, in your opinion?" I would say like the one game, it would be like Grand Theft Auto, because those guys don't like Nintendo, or at least somewhat, to some degree. Obviously, I don't think that they're still holding a 20-year grudge or whatever, 15 or 20-year grudge, but I still, to some degree, there's something going on there. So I would say, yeah, just like Grand Theft Auto would be the game.
Yeah, I'd say Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, that type of game would probably show that Nintendo's back in third parties' good graces.
Mm-hmm. But it's hard to do a broad paintbrush, though. You know what I'm saying? Because third party, there's so many, and then like Nintendo is in great. Like Ubisoft makes big third-party games.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, that's kind of the thing. I mean, we're seeing. I mean, Ubisoft has shown decent support early on. I would imagine 2018 we'll see stronger from them. I mean, Namco, they've announced that they're going to support the system, but we really haven't seen much from them. But we know Tales of is coming before. I believe they said March 2018. But then we have Square showing a lot of stronger support. Capcom is showing modest support. Western third parties with, Take-Two, Bethesda, they're showing more support than they typically have shown Nintendo hardware. But then we don't see Activision with strong support, and EA's kind of wishy-washy. I mean, Japanese-wise, the Switch looks very strong in third-party support. Western, it looks stronger than I would have expected coming off Wii U. But I mean, I think Nintendo's taken strides to increase their third-party relations in terms of, with the Switch. Pretty damn good so far.
I agree definitely. So they want to get your opinion on the Fallout 4. I know you talked about it a bit, but what do you feel like? I guess we can make a little game out of it. Do you feel that it's a over or under 50% chance that we see Fallout 4 on the Switch?
I would say over 50% chance, only because Fallout 4 did run on the same engine as Skyrim. Skyrim is coming to Switch, so why not bring Fallout 4 over?
I would have to agree just based on and I would just go based on the listing and based on Skyrim. Like we're getting a lot of positive feedback from fans on Skyrim, you know? Like people are saying we're gonna buy this. I'm not sure if you can pre-order it yet or not, but I'm thinking the pre-order numbers are gonna be pretty good. I think Bethesda's getting the feedback that people want more Bethesda games, so I think that's potentially being put into motion because of all the positive feedback. And I think Skyrim's gonna sell decently on the Switch.
Oh yeah, I think Skyrim's gonna actually surprise people in terms of sales when it comes out. I mean, people wanted a portable Skyrim for years.
No,
that
yeah,
was
absolutely.
reality.
Absolutely. It's something that and even if I could have got it like halfway portable on the Wii U, I wanted that. You know, I'm like, hey, well, I can play this lying down in bed, you know, like even I was looking forward to that. So, but they never did that because they just.
And you know what? Skyrim is a big core game. So, and the Switch audience seems to be more male 18 to 30 demographic, and Skyrim is that perfect release coming out this holiday season. You know, it's a great game to sit down on the couch, watch football, and play.
Absolutely. What do you hope is revealed at TGS?
Wow.
That's a pretty broad question. I just want to see some great games. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know if there's anything I'm specifically saying, but like Octopath Traveler, that's a game that I really want to see more of that game. So I would probably say that's probably one of my most anticipated because I love Bravely Default. I think Bravely Default is easily one of the best games of. I don't know if you want to call it this generation or not. I don't know if you can, but it's
one of the best RPGs of this generation.
Absolutely, one of the best RPGs of this generation. Just the way the story is phenomenal. Like I think that game came out when people still have the bad taste of Final Fantasy 13 and like Final Fantasy in general in their mouth. Like Final Fantasy wasn't doing well when that game came out because it was 2014. So like it wasn't doing well. So Bravely Default came out. I was like, wow, we could have a real Final Fantasy game. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we have a real Final Fantasy game. So
it pretty much was the case. They're like, Square still has some talent to make RPGs when Bravely Default was released.
Well, it was Silicon Studio. Silicon Studio. But so they can see that there's still good RPGs for them to publish. they can see that there's great talent out there. So, but the team did consult with Square Enix's team when it comes to 4 Warriors of Light. So, because the game was going to be a Final Fantasy game, so it was going to be 4 Warriors of Light. But then they just said, let's just make it a new IP. So I'm kind of glad that they did that though, because 4 Warriors of Light, like, it's like kind of generic-y, you know. Like this, like Bravely Default has tons of character, you know. So I'm kind of glad that they made it its own thing. Hopefully we get that on the Switch. So, imagine Bravely Default like made completely for the Switch. Imagine that. Oh my god. Would that not be like the dopest thing? Especially with Silicon Studio and their technical expertise. Imagine like I don't know, like a Ubis 3 Bravely Default. That's when my heart. I don't know if I could take it. My heart would. No. I can't. I don't know if I can take it, man. My heart. I just stop. My heart might stop. I might never get to see it. All right. So they're asking a question. I think it's J2 Blue. He wants to know about Platinum Games. What do you think is going on there with them?
Ooh, and I mean, my hunch is that they're definitely up to Bayonetta 3. I definitely think that's going to happen. If they're smart, we'll definitely get a port of Bayonetta 2. There's no reason not to port over all your Wii U stuff. Nobody owned a Wii U. Your games were awesome. Give them a chance for Second Life on the Switch. And maybe bring, you know, if you have a new IP or something ready, you know, bring that over too. I mean, Platinum is such a tough company to predict because they always amaze with whatever they come up with.
Absolutely. Bayonetta 2 announcement on Wii U was shocking for the time that it came out. So yeah, I got someone knocking on my door. You want to answer this question as far as Dark Souls trilogy, Nate? And
yeah, sure. So Dark Souls trilogy. I mean, that rumor, I believe it was started by Laura Kate Dale. As far as if there's any truth to that, can't say I've really heard anything about it. It'd be a great release, but I mean, we do know From Software is supporting the Switch. They haven't announced the project yet for it, but I mean,
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know
if we'd see the Dark Souls trilogy. I could see a Dark Souls 3 complete edition or something happening.
Yeah, we have From Software on board as far as one of the
Yeah,
developers. So I mean, they're on board. So yeah, I agree that maybe not a trilogy because that'd be a lot of work. Um, but maybe the engine runs on the Switch. The Ubis 3 is compatible. We do know that. So Dark
yeah. I
Souls,
mean,
it could come
yeah.
over.
My main reserve is just that the information came from Laura Kate Dale at the time. She's missed on a lot of the software rumors she had, so it just kind of makes you wonder, the validity of that rumor when it did come out.
Hmm.
Not to say that it is wrong, but it kind of, I mean, I would say if we don't hear about the Dark Souls trilogy or Dark Souls 3 or whatever by Tokyo Game Show, I'd probably say I wouldn't expect it anymore.
And we did get another $2 donation from Miru again, and he donated $2 through Super Chat. So thank you so much for the donation. And here's his question. He said, "How many third-party game Nintendo is going to get?" A lot.
A lot. I mean, I think the Switch to date has like 200 games on the eShop. So, I mean, I'd imagine they're going to have a lot of third-party games. I guess maybe the bigger question is, are they going to be third-party games you want?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, if you want Destiny type, if you want Destiny 2 or Star Wars Battlefront, you're probably not getting those third-party games. You'll get, everything else, but you're probably going to miss, those 3 or 4 or 5, triple A huge third-party games that are, you know, just not good fits, really.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, another question that some people are saying is like, we got one here from Unruly. He says 665 says, "Are there any good horror games on the way?" I think there's one game. What was that game?
Hollow?
Yeah, Hollow. There we go. Yeah, Hollow is looking to be pretty good on the Switch. Is there anything else? Resident Evil Revelation. I mean, if you're going to count those, Resident Evil Revelations 1 and
Yeah.
2.
I mean,
as well.
yeah. I mean, the horror genre is, not as big as it once was, so it's kind of tough.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I don't know if we're gonna. I don't know how much more we're gonna get of that, but let's move on to these questions here. PR444Z asks, when do you think the 3DS will come to an end of its lifespan, and is there any future for dual screen gaming? You want to go ahead and take that one?
I'd say I don't really see the end of the 3DS lifespan coming until maybe late 2019. I don't see a reason for it to really stop. I mean, we look at the Japanese sales week to week, and it's still moving 20,000 plus units with ease. I mean, the American sales may have slowed down a bit, but it's still getting Japanese support. Software sales are probably slowing. So, I mean, I'd say through 2018, it'll remain. Maybe by 2019, we'll see the 3DS start, kind of slow down and ease its way out. As for dual screen gaming, I mean, I think there is a place for that in the industry. It's just, I don't know how you can really, it's lost that innovative quality. And now, with the Switch and stuff, the Switch, maybe it might have killed dual screen gaming. I mean, I loved it. I loved having the map on a separate screen, having that HUD-free display on my main. But until maybe they can come up with a better technology for battery or something, dual screen would probably be gone for the next decade or so.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I don't know. I think they'll probably get rid of the 3DS once it's completely like the money's completely gone. You know what I'm saying? Like they've completely exhausted their resources because the 3DS did get off to a slow start, money wise, and I think they probably want to hit. They probably have an internal target that they want to hit. They probably want to hit like 80 million, or something like that. They probably, I mean, they can do that if they continue supporting it with like their side teams and their little teams. Like if they just continue to release, I mean, 5 games a year, 5 or 6 games a year, maybe 2 or 3 of them being a little bit bigger. Even if you put those on Switch too, like have them on 3DS and Switch, and you can just sell another 50, you can sell 10 to 20,000 units in Japan easy. Europe, you can sell another 6,000. Then in America, you can probably sell another 5,000-6,000, maybe even more than that, maybe up to 15 or 20,000 as well. And that's fine. You can continue selling that for the next 2-3 years. You'll be at your 70 something million.
And that's actually, I mean, like one thing we also have to consider is that we look at the price of the 3DS. It's still what I think the new 3DS is still
200
$199.
$200 for
Yeah.
that old piece of tech, for that
So
old
now,
tech.
so now, I mean, if we really look at it, they have a lot of area to price drop the 3DS hardware, while the Switch, if it continues to sell, they'll keep it at that $300 price range. Because I mean, the Switch is really mostly adults. Kids aren't buying a Switch; they can't afford it. I mean, it looks kind of high techy where you're not handing it off to your 6-year-old, but you would buy them a 3DS. So now, if you get a new 3DS down to like $100, that's gonna sell. So you can buffer next year with price drops on the 3DS and continue to sell probably halfway through 2019 with ease.
From what I understand, the 2DS is actually doing pretty well.
Yeah,
Who I've talked
definitely.
to, yeah, people are saying that people are picking it up because like the Hey Pikmin came out, and then they had Fire Emblem helped also with
Yep.
it. Fire Emblem sales were doing good with it as well. Plus, you got Metroid coming out. I think a lot of people are
Yeah.
just going to pick up Metroid, $150. Yeah, Metroid and the
Pokemon coming out later this year.
with that you can get the new 2DS XL and Metroid for $200. That's pretty good. That's a good weekend. That's a good week. A couple
Yeah,
weekends.
that's a good
man.
weekend. Never mind the backlog of games that you can look at on the 3DS. I mean,
And I mean, I've been playing. I mean, I'm not sure if you got a copy of Metroid yet, but I've been playing it, and I can't talk about it, but it's good. It's good. Look forward to I have a gameplay preview. I think I can talk about it tomorrow. Yeah, so look forward to that tomorrow. But yeah, it's really good. So most people are going to want to buy it. So yeah, let's get into this next question here. We're not talking about Clash of Ninja. You guys are gonna make me start crying. So no talking about Clash of Ninja. I don't know, Nate. You probably don't know, but I was like huge Clash of Ninja Revolution player like back in the day. Like nobody wanted to play because obviously nobody played the game. But the people who did play that were good online, we had this nice tight knit community. We used to play online. Oh man, it was great. And that franchise is dead, guys. Clash of Ninja is never, ever, ever, ever coming back. They're not. Aiding is done. I don't know what Aiding's doing, but they're not making games anymore. I don't know. Takara Tomy, they are done publishing games, and that's a toy company. Yeah, so it's never. You guys are gonna make me start crying. So
poor Naruto.
poor Naruto. Poor actually good Naruto games. You know what I'm saying? Like poor actually good Naruto fighting game because Bandai Namco and their stupid. See, this is gonna get me on a tirade with this game. So that's why I don't like people talking about this because I get emotional about these things because Bandai Namco is like, instead of bringing them on, they're so cocky because they know good and well that the Naruto Clash of Ninja series is better than what they made. They could have at least brought Aiding on. They could have at least brought them on, but they said, no, we're going to buy the exclusive license to this. Nobody else can make Naruto games. We're going to only make them. And yeah, skip all of you guys. And they make their silly Ultimate Ninja games. Like, they're good graphically. They're so good graphically, but gameplay-wise, they're just trash. Like, they're just...
So, yeah, I remember playing. What was the Naruto game that Ubisoft came out with on the Xbox 360?
Rise of Ninja, Broken Bond.
All right, yeah, was that the first one or the sequel?
The first one was I'm a nerd. The first one was Rise of Ninja. The second one was the Broken Bond.
All right. I remember playing that. I remember the first one. I played that game. I beat the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Got the sequel. I'm like, sweet. I'm gonna be able to see like Tachi and stuff. And the sequel sucked.
Yeah, the sequel was not.
Because they're like, you get to play as Choji. I'm like, I don't want to play as him. Who cares?
It's like
You can play
Choji's
as
the
the
new
bug guy. Like, no.
Shino.
I want to be Sasuke.
yeah. Broken Bond was a bit. Rise of Ninja. The only great thing, in my opinion, that game just had a great jutsu system because you did the analog sticks. So like you hit them and they fly across the room, and then you put in a jutsu. You felt like you were putting in hand signs, man. It was like I was all about that game when I was in college, man. It was cool. But like those games are never going to come back. Obviously, Rise of Ninja is never going to come back. No, Clash of Ninja is never going to come back. None of those games are. All we're going to get is Ultimate Ninja, and then this new one, Strikers or some. I don't know what they're doing. But anyway, let's move on. I spent way too much time on that. Let's look at some more questions here, guys. Some people are asking about NBA 2K. So that game's going to require a memory card, even with a physical version, in order to do everything. So apparently, like you'll be able to play a portion of the game physical, but then in order to access more stuff, you have to have a memory card.
Yeah, I've seen people kind of reacting to this, and their reactions are kind of actually surprising me because I mean, they're probably using a 16 gig card, so they're going to require you to install 9 gigabytes of space. If the download, I believe the download size of NBA is 25 gigs, so we'll say 9 gigs just for the sake. So it's basically just a mandatory install like the other versions where you can play a piece of the game while it's still installing.
The only thing that I'm like, there might be some issue apparently with the bigger cartridges, or they might be passing the cost on to us. I'm not really sure what's going on because I know Square Enix has a 32 gigabyte card for Dragon Quest Heroes. So I mean, but Square Enix, maybe that's a special, because like is there any other person that has a 32 gigabyte card that quick? So maybe Square Enix was able to get early access or whatever the case is. Or maybe they're just passing the cost on to us. I'm not really sure what's going on.
It probably is it's probably a kind of a thing of like, okay, let's say the 16 gig card costs Take-Two $2. So now they're going to produce them. But then, I mean, instead of saying, oh, you know what, NBA, we're going to use a 32 gig card, and it's going to cost us $4. And instead of charging you $69.99 now, we'll do the same price parity. You just have to install a little bit of it on your internal, storage or on your micro SD card. I mean, I'd rather pay the same price and eat the installation size than pay an extra $10 just to say, oh, it's all on this card.
Yeah, I have a big memory card, so it's not a big deal for me. But I know some people. Were. Some people. I thought the reaction was going to be super bad. I thought it was going to be like, oh my god, how are you doing this? But I think a lot of them were just like, okay, well, not too bad, because at least we don't have to do the whole thing. At least we get. I mean, you know how dope it would be if like PS4 and Xbox One it only does half. You know what I'm saying? Or it was like that would be awesome. But no,
that'd be awesome instead of 50 gigs.
Exactly, but it's the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would love for Gears of War 4 to be 50 gigabytes instead of 100 gigabytes. You know what I'm saying? That would be great.
It's tough for me because I haven't bought a micro SD card for my Switch yet, so I'm still on my 32 gigs of the system. I think I have 36 games that I've reviewed over the time. I mean, I just have to delete the games as I'm done with them, and then if I want to replay it, I reinstall it, delete something else. So I mean, yeah, I'm at the point I need a micro SD card, but I mean, it sucks.
But maybe at some. Black Friday is probably going to have some. Maybe you can get one for a really good price, like $20 for like 100 something.
That's what I'm basically banking on. I'm kind of sitting there saying, I'll wait for Black Friday. If they have like 128 gigabyte card down to like $30, I'll pounce on it. Right now, I'm just like, I look at it like every week. I'm like, $60.
Yeah, you don't want to spend that for that.
I don't want to drop the $60 on a micro SD card,
especially when there's so many games coming. So
it hurts my wall. I'm like, I have to decide: do I get this micro card? Do I buy this game next month, or do I want the game?
Or do I eat? Do I pay bills?
Like, do I get food today, or do I get this micro SD card? I don't know. Like, maybe I should go on Twitter and start a donation, see if people will fund my micro SD card fund.
I literally, one time in college, I picked a video game over food, and I was hungry, but I'm like, you know what? But at least I'm happy. I'm playing a game. I think I had to I had to take some of my roommate's food, man, because I didn't have any money for food at one point. But I think it was, what game was it? I forgot what game it was. It was some PS3 game. But anyway. My financial aid check just wasn't on time. It was delayed, so brother didn't have any money for a whole month. But there was a game that was coming out that I really needed, man.
You did that damn game.
I needed the game. I forgot, what was it? Was it RE5? It might have been Resident Evil 5. Yeah, it might have been Resident Evil 5. That game changed my life, man. That game it completely changed my whole routine in college. Like completely changed everything. I love that game. So that's just me though.
Yeah, I think I beat that game in my first when the game came out. I think I beat it in like 2 days because I just didn't stop playing.
Oh yeah. Oh no. It was Mass Effect. There we go. It was Mass Effect. Mass Effect 2. It was Mass Effect 2. That's the game. I didn't have any money, but I mean that's the only money that I had in my account. But I had to buy that game. I had to buy it. So yeah, it was Mass Effect 2. All right. So let's see here. We're gonna go down. We're gonna take a couple more questions. People are just talking about the gigabyte cards. You guys have any more actual questions? I know I probably missed a number of them, so I'm going to scroll through. People are just making comments about that. Oh, okay. So J2 Blue, he has a good question. He says, "Hey OJ and Nate, any chance of Ace Attorney 7 for the Nintendo Switch? What do you think?"
I would hope so.
Yeah, I would hope so too. I think that would be dope, like portable mode, just like taking it around. Like if Ace Attorney, if I could play it on both, I might be interested in there. I have played Ace Attorney. I played one Ace Attorney game. There was a demo, and I played that, and I thought it was pretty good, but I never bought the game.
Yeah.
I don't know why, I just never did. But yeah, maybe I would hope there'd be an Ace Attorney game. I think Capcom knows that Ace Attorney and Nintendo are kind of go hand in hand. So I think that they're kind of just waiting for the right time. Obviously, you need a install base.
If they do, it would probably just be a digital release. Because they did bring the Ace Attorney, or the Phoenix Wright to Wii when they did I think they based it on like the phone version or something.
I didn't know about that.
So, I wouldn't be surprised to see them do a digital release on the Switch for that series. Why not?
Yeah, we could definitely see it potentially. So yeah, I would definitely see like a Ace Attorney game on there at some point. Let's see here. So yeah, I think that I do think that some people are saying, like in the chat, they're saying like it would be like a good workaround for third-party developers. Like, okay, we don't have to charge more for these, for the prices of the games, because like they can pass that on to us, I guess, as far as the installing, because that's what PS4 and Xbox One does. So I guess it's not too bad if it's whether we get the game or not, or it's more expensive. So
I try to I sort of think with the NBA, and I kind of thought about it. I'm like, there's no way they're probably can Skyrim fit on a 32 gigabyte cart with all the the expansion packs and the core game?
I don't know, man.
Probably looking at another scenario where it might be a 32 gig cart, but you might have to install 10 gigabytes of space onto your Switch to play Skyrim. Or maybe they'll have the option where you can just have Skyrim, and then if you want to install the expansion packs individually or something, I wonder, I wonder how that release is going to work. Because that's a massive game.
It is a big game with all that content on there, all that DLC. So we'll just have to wait on that one. Master Aqua says Resident Evil 4 or 5 remake on the Switch. No more remakes of Resident Evil for me. No more remakes of Resident Evil 4 for me. I bought too many of them. I've played a million of them. I don't want to see it. How about Resident Evil 2, the remake of 2? Give me that one on the Switch, personally.
Yeah, give me Resident Evil 2. I'll take Resident Evil Remake HD on Switch. I'm unfortunately one of those people. I've bought Resident Evil 4 on every release it's ever done. I even bought the terrible iPhone version back in 2007.
Oh God!
I would buy it again on Switch because I love Resident Evil 4. But I want them to bring Resident Evil Origins of 0 and 1. I want to see the Resident Evil 2 remake. You have them on the other platforms, so if you can bring 4, 5, and 6 to Switch, just do it. Why not? There's going to be an audience for them just to play Resident Evil 4 portably.
Yeah, it just depends. Obviously, I want Resident Evil remake, or Resident Evil 2 remake. That's my most anticipated one as far as what I want. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with that. As far as the other games, who knows? I've already played the heck out of Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 4 enough, so I'm done. I'm done buying those games in remake fashion or not. It's still going to be the same game.
Capcom loves doing cheap ports, so that fits it.
Oh, okay, so we got someone said, okay, Watt Montgomery. I'm sorry, guys. There's so many questions here. I'm getting a bunch of them. I'm sorry if I'm not answering them. He says, Walt Montgomery says, OJ, since it looks like Nintendo may be moving to only having one piece of hardware on the market at a time in the future, are you concerned for the next Wii U situation? What does that mean? Like,
Is he asking like if their system fails?
Oh, I think that's what he's asking. If their system fails, I'm not concerned because the Wii U failed because of certain things. There were very particular things why the Wii U failed. Whether it was the marketing, whether it was just not enough games, them putting out games on the 3DS and on the Wii U, whether they didn't have enough money, adapting to HD. There are so many factors that factored into the Wii U failing. So if Nintendo has a focused and dedicated market for one system, the chances of them failing with the amount of games that they would be bringing are like slim to none. So no, I'm not worried about that at all. If the Wii U got as many games and exclusives as the 3DS got, it wouldn't have failed, so yeah. What about you, Nate? You worried about that at all, or?
No, I think by Nintendo unifying their teams, I mean they're going to have that software support. People buy Nintendo hardware for Nintendo software, and I mean, I don't really see them changing their business model from the Switch for the foreseeable future. I mean, you got a portable home console. Where else can you innovate? So I don't see where unless they go insane and they try to make something weird.
Which Nintendo's done before.
Yes, I mean they have done that before. Like I don't see them failing with future hardware for at least the next gen or two.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. Nintendo's pretty much in a pretty good groove. I think they've got it down what they need to do in order to be successful. And this is the first time this is the most involved that I've seen Nintendo. This is the most busy that I've seen them when it comes to their marketing. Before, remember, it used to be like, we got a game, then silence from Nintendo. We hear nothing. It's like Nintendo does not exist in between. Now they're doing press releases. They're doing the Nindies at night. They're just more involved in pretty much in everything that they're doing, so
yeah, they finally seem to understand the power of their franchises and their IPs and their characters, and they're utilizing that now to strengthen their brand. Or even with like the Super NES Classic, I mean that's just them saying, hey, 30 and 35-year-olds, remember when you sat in front of your TV playing the Super Nintendo? Like, remember us, we're still here. And people are like, oh shit, Nintendo. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh shit, a Switch, and they're buying it because they remember, I love Mario.
Yeah, definitely, man. So the next question, we're gonna take a few more. Let me see here. Not really sure here. Okay, Eddie, is it Hamad says, any possibility of near Automata on the Switch? If Square, I don't think so. I personally don't think so. But
I don't see that happening.
Yeah,
I think if it was gonna, they would have probably announced plans for it.
That game's a bit weird on PS4. It seems way too big, the file size, for what it is. Like when you play the game and when you look at the game, you're like, whoa, this is like 50-something gigabytes. Like, hold up, like this is bigger than Horizon Zero Dawn. Like, hold up, why? It seems like unoptimized, like to a degree. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
I don't see them doing it. I don't know who would do the port. I think Platinum's too busy with other projects to bother.
Yeah, I know Platinum did say, like, the only news that I have on that is, like, Platinum did say, like, if Square Enix paid for it, we'd do it, but...
Yeah, I think Square's a little more focused on their actual franchise, like Final Fantasy, Project Octopath, Dragon Quest. They'd rather get those out before Nier.
I don't think Nier is big enough for them to say, okay, yeah, let's port it to Switch. You know what I'm saying? Like, right now, let's get it ported.
I think they feel like they got the fan base for that game covered with that PS4 release, that there's probably not that many people who double dip, so it's just not worth the time.
I don't know if people would double dip for that type of game. No.
Yeah.
Playing that portably, I mean, maybe it'd be cool, but I don't know. It's an action game. I mean, it's kind of something maybe you want to play on the TV more than anything else. But it's an action RPG, so
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, maybe, but probably not. Let's see here. Any other questions, guys? Master Aqua says Devil May Cry for the Switch.
Probably. I would say no.
I would say Capcom. I would just say My answer is Capcom.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. I
could-
say no. You say Capcom. It means the same thing.
Yeah, or it might mean yes. You never know.
That's true. You don't really know.
Capcom is Capcom. That's my answer. It's just Capcom. So it's hard to. I would just say yeah. I would say no, but my answer is also Capcom. So that means yes, maybe. You know what I'm saying? That means potentially, maybe that there's some type of collection or something that they port over. Maybe they port the Devil May Cry collection to the Switch. I mean, you never. I mean, these people ported Resident Evil Revelations 1 to the PS4.
Yeah, that's true.
They just released Resident Evil Revelations 1 for the PS4 and Xbox One. That game, oh god, this company, Resident Evil Revelations, and they're like, look, we got a brand new, or we got Resident Evil Revelations 1. It's coming to the PS4 and Xbox. Like, nobody wants to buy that on PS. That game will sell 0 copies. Like, oh my god, I can't.
Yeah, I mean, I was playing it for review, and it was actually today I went to do the online raid mode. Found nobody online.
There's nobody playing that game. But by the way, since you have playing
I'm
it
like,
for
nobody's
review,
even playing raid. I found one guy when I kept searching, and he wanted similar level people to play with, so we were both rank 1. I joined his lobby. He kicks me out. I'm like, okay. Like, there's 2 people online. You can't be picky.
is the game 60 frames per second in single player?
I believe so.
Okay, so that's an upgrade. That's an upgrade over. Or, well, if you have the Steam copy, it's not. But if you have the
it's
PS3 360, 60 frames per
yeah,
second Resident Evil Revelations, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's still Revelations.
Yeah, it's still good. It's still good. It's just awkward that this many years afterwards that like. But hey, it's Capcom.
Yeah.
Capcom, baby. It's Capcom. And I've come to just know this is just Capcom. So I don't get mad like other people get so mad about Capcom. I'm like, why you guys get mad? They've been like this for a while. You guys need to you either need to accept it or you just need to move on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, Capcom leverages ports because they don't know how to make new games that people actually want. Mm-hmm. So you just, anytime they announce something, you know it's going to be a port or it's probably going to suck like Dead Rising 4.
They have so many IPs. They have so many IPs. They just never use them, but they know that they have those IPs and they know that they can leverage them to be a profitable company. That's the thing.
I mean, I mean, people want a new Strider. What do? They make this terrible one for the PS3, Xbox 360, PS4, and Xbox One. It was nothing like the originals. It sucked.
I wish they didn't get Double Helix to make it. That's the thing that I'm like, it felt like a Double Helix game. It's like when I was playing it, I was like, this feels like a company named Double Helix made it.
Yeah. That game came out, I'm like, oh yeah, I can't wait to play this because the PS1 versions are awesome. I'm playing, I'm like, what the hell is this?
I wanted a more animated style, like not 3D graphics. Like I wanted a more like
I wanted just HD PS1 style.
Yeah, I wanted like Marvel vs. Capcom, like Strider, like how he looks in there. I wanted it to look like that. You know what I'm saying? Like when I was playing it, it didn't look. I mean, it looked like him, but it was like I just didn't like the. I don't know. It was a downloadable game, right? It was a $15 downloadable game, so
it wasn't even worth the $15.
Yeah, I got it for free. So
I think I got the review copy and I'm like, no.
It was gifted. It was gifted to me on Steam. So so yeah.
But they have like Onimusha. Why didn't they ever HD that trilogy?
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know what they're doing with that. Maybe they're gonna bring that out.
Capcom gonna Capcom.
Yeah, Capcom gonna Capcom. T-Dude says, when will OJ gets to steal Travis Touchdown's Power Glove? Tomorrow. I don't know. So he's talking about the game. When do you think it's gonna release? I have no idea about Nintendo's 2018. What do you think? Do you have any ideas when the game is gonna release?
Oh boy, I'd say probably a year from now.
A year?
I'd say a year from now. I'd say next fall, next late summer,
late
early
summerish.
Fall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That sounds pretty good.
That way, it gets an E3 in of impression.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, obviously, people want to see gameplay of the game and all that.
Yeah, so that way you got the E3, people can play it, share impressions, boom, release it 2 months later.
Agreed. Any other questions? They're talking about the Fallout, more Fallout stuff. Master Aqua says Blaze Blue on the Nintendo Switch, the new one that is coming, the one with Ruby and Persona 4. I think it's getting that one based on what the developers said about the game. I think it's going to be that new one coming. And he's like, hey, we can find an audience on the Switch. I don't think they're going to port over an old one. I think they're going to port over this new one. So, what do you think?
My hunch is that it's probably, that series, they release a new one, I swear, every month. But my hunch is that it's going to be the one that came out, the previous one that came out, not the brand new one.
That Calamity Trigger 2 HD remix. I
don't know. I think that's what.
Super Calamity Trigger. I would think that they would do
Super
the new
Calamity Trigger, Blue Tide, whatever it's called.
We'll see. Blaze Blue is a very good franchise. It's very good. It's a very good fighting game.
I just wish they didn't update it every It feels like they update it every year. I can never get the definitive better versions out. As soon as I buy it, a new one's out.
That's also Guilty Gear does that. Guilty Gear is very guilty of that. Revelator XD, Revelator XD2, and I think it updates with the arcade. I think that's what's going on there. When you see it. So it's like, okay, well, what do you do? People want those updates. Some of them are you can just download it, or you can just get the retail version. So it is what it is. But fighting games are always going to be fighting games. So yeah, that's what's going to happen. And some people like it, some people don't. But we'll see what happens with Blaze Blue. A Talkie Teacher says, first year Switch sales. I think that's always a good question to answer. So March 3rd, 2018, Switch has sold how many copies? Or Switch has sold how many units?
I'd put them at 12 to 13.5 million.
12 to 13.5 million. Is that because of stock restrictions, or you just think that that's just what it's going to sell?
Due to the stock limitations and Nintendo saying, since Nintendo hasn't upped that 10 million forecast for this fiscal year, I think 12, 13.5 million just based on their forecast and stock limitations.
Yeah, and then So Fresh Hand SOMJ says, I think many third-party games will have the cartridge / micro SD memory issue. You know what? To be honest, I honestly don't think I don't think it's an issue, in my opinion. I don't think it's too big of an issue because we're already getting the benefit of having a cartridge. So I think most people will come to accept that because it's still a better option than PS4 and Xbox One when it comes to memory. And we actually get the game, we'll get more of the game, or we'll get all of the content, or it's not going to be more expensive. So I think it's going to be an issue, but I don't think it'll be an issue that people are really mad about if that results in more games, you know what I'm saying? And results in better, all the content coming in. So I really don't think it's too bad because it's still a better option than PS4 and Xbox One, which takes up all your space,
the micro SD card, as long as you don't want 128 gig or anything, if you're not going pure digital, even the 32 gig on your system will get you pretty far in games like NBA 2K.
Agreed. Yeah. Yep. Let's see, any other questions here? We'll take a couple more. I want to wrap this up here in about the next 5 minutes. Inti Creates needs to do a Switch exclusive trailer for Dragon Marked for Death. They already did a Switch exclusive trailer for Dragon Marked for Death. It didn't say the 3DS version anywhere in that trailer. So yeah, but it is coming to the 3DS as well.
Yeah.
So yeah. Is it Wyatt Montgomery says random question for the rest of the chat? Okay, never mind. I didn't answer what I think the Switch is going to be at. I think the Switch, I'm going to think that they're going to be able to do better stock during the holiday. I think they're going to really bust it during the holiday season. So I'm going to go ahead and say that they're going to have at least, I'm going to say 15 million in year one. So 15. I'm going to go with 15 million as far as that goes. So. Gaming Mage says, Player Essence, what do you think of the HD remake of Kid Icarus Uprising on the Switch? I think that'd be dope, obviously, but I would really like a new game from Sakurai. You give me a Kid Icarus Uprising 2, or you just give me a Kid Icarus, some type of Kid Icarus Uprising franchise game. It doesn't have to be an HD port or whatever, or remake. I would really that would be great, don't get me wrong, but I've already played the heck out of that game, man. It's really good on the 3DS. There's just some control issues for me personally. Not everyone has the same control issues But like I said, if you have to ship your game with a stand, something, there's something's going on if you have to ship your game with the stand for you to put your 3DS on. There's something wrong, because that's the only game that ships with the stand, by the way. It's the only 3DS game that ships with the stand. People say, "Oh, the controls are fine." I'm like, "Well, why does it come with the stand?" Nintendo took a hit off of profits because they included a freaking physical stand in there. It's not small. It does cost some money to manufacture that, so that's definitely taking, a little bit of a hit. The box is bigger.
Yeah.
The box is bigger. So, it's just...
Yeah, shipment weight goes up.
Shipment weight goes up. So, there was something going on, obviously. And, like, they said that they can't use the Circle Pad Pro because the 3DS doesn't have enough... They didn't say CPU power for it to support it. I think that's what Sakurai said. So, yeah.
Something...
I would love for that game to come over. Kid Icarus Uprising is a phenomenal game. It is absolutely phenomenal. But a brand new one, Sakurai just say, hey, Nintendo's like, hey, here's a team. Get a good team together. Guys, make us Kid Icarus Uprising 2. Oh, man, that would be...
Yeah, I'd rather see that make a sequel. I kind of think Kid Icarus Uprising's time has passed. I think if they HD'd it for the Wii U, because you had the gamepad so you could still use a stylus control, then it would have been a better time to do it. Now... you'd have to have pure analog and button control for the game, so the flying sections would feel a little slower. Sure, the on-ground sections would control better, but I don't think anyone cares about Kid Icarus Uprising anymore. Time passed.
Time passed for that style. I think if they were going to make Kid Icarus Uprising, I think they would have to tune it for the Switch. I would want one that's like, hey, this is a Switch game. Like we're going to make combos, we're going to make the controls, everything's going to fit what you do on the Switch. Portable play, console play. Like let's make a real Kid Icarus game for the Switch.
Yeah, I don't want to feel like a 3DS port.
Exactly, and like you said, it would have been better on Wii U. Because then you can even do the dual screen play. Like you can have your Wii U right there, and then you can use the stylus to aim. So you can even do that. But at this point, like you said, I don't think anyone's really pushing for that. For that type, because it wasn't like the game was a massive seller anyway.
No, it just barely eclipsed 1 million worldwide. So what are you looking for? You make 500,000 sales.
So yeah, especially one that's tuned for the 3DS. So if they did one for the Switch, I think now if they remarketed it and said rebranded it and said, hey, like look at the system that we have and synthesizing and all the stuff that they did and said this is a Switch game, it can do better because the Switch is obviously it's Switch.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
having a port would just be like I don't know. But So yeah, let's see here. We're gonna take 2 more questions. We'll take 2 or 3 more questions. Og MC says, do you guys think the Switch will have native voice chat by 2018? The LAN voice chat doesn't count. Well, it does count because it actually is voice chat. That's the reason why people are even bringing this up. So it does count because it gives us it lets us know that voice chat is Nintendo is literally blocking voice chat through software. So that's what it tells us. So do I think that they'll have it through there? I've said my theory. Maybe how about you rate my theory, and then you give your own opinion. So my personal belief with this is that Nintendo is blocking voice chat through software because their network is not ready. You have stuff like Splatoon 2 still using peer-to-peer. Everything's peer-to-peer. There's no server-based games from Nintendo. Everything's peer-to-peer. I would think that the tick rates would be significantly lower if people were running around with voice chat on there. So I'm thinking Nintendo's network isn't ready, so they blocked it through and they put a bullet, or say they put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound with this whole voice chat thing. The app, it's a Band-Aid to the huge bullet wound, just because their network isn't ready to handle that many people using voice chat for games and stuff like Splatoon, 60 frames per second, Mario Kart, and all that. And they will be pretty much ditching this app by next year. That's my belief, because third-party developers are not using this app. Xenoverse 2 has no voice chat. What's it called? Minecraft, which had voice chat on the Wii U, has no voice chat on the Switch. Nobody's using this app. The only person who's using this app is Nintendo. So third-party developers aren't using this app at all. So I'm thinking that it's a Band-Aid. It's in the meantime, and this thing's going to be gone by next year, or it's going to be very limited use because third-party developers aren't using it. And I don't think Nintendo's going to go this many generations with this whole app, or this many years with this whole app, and third-party developers just say, nope, don't want to use it, because they have to program a whole app or program support into there. So that's my theory on it. This thing's going to be pretty much dead by next year. So what do you think?
That's a pretty good theory. The way Nintendo is, I really wouldn't be surprised if this phone voice chat app garbage thing is going to be the free solution to people who don't want to pay the $20 a year for the online service, and that's where they'll make it system ready for voice chat. It would be like, you pay $20, you get access to it from system level. You didn't pay for it, but you want to use voice chat. Well, you can use your phone for these select games. But if you want it for everything, you have to pay.
That will piss so many people off.
Like I wouldn't put that by Nintendo. So to say here's the free solution, your phone, or you pay and you get access.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, maybe I've seen that. I've seen that theory go up, and it's all interesting theories. Obviously, you know, they could. And some people are saying they're dumb for making it. I don't think they're dumb for making it, because in my theory, their network's not ready for it because the Wii U had it. You know what I'm saying? So my theory is that it was either you get this thing or you get nothing. You know what I'm saying? Or you don't get a solution at all until 2018. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't think it's dumb that they gave you an option. I just think that, yes, the app is not very good, but I don't think it's dumb that they gave you something because it would have been nothing if you did it so otherwise. So
yeah, I don't think they're that narrow-sighted to really think that this is the only solution possible. I mean, I kind of get their reasoning. People use Discord, Skype, all these other means of communicating with people. So it's kind of like, why dedicate RAM on a system level to this type of thing if we can just say, hey, you're already using your phone, so why don't we just leverage that for our sake to, you know, save up system resources? I don't think Nintendo is really that dumb to sit there and say, yeah, we're not going to offer that on our own level. We're just going to push everything to a phone.
Yeah, I personally feel like they're just prepping it. Like I said, I looked at their network. Their network, you know, it's just nothing's ready. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing's ready. They didn't have Nintendo Network IDs. Those aren't ready. You know, not nothing's ready. Obviously, they have their accounts ready. They have their linking ready. I mean, but they're kind of piecing things in one by one. And an interview with Reggie really opened my eyes to this, especially when I kind of had a light bulb moment. And Reggie was like, he's like, one of the biggest things that they learned from the Wii U to the Switch is that they don't need to have everything done right away. And he said that he's like we don't have to do everything right away as far as apps and all. He's like, we don't have to. He's like, I think that's, and like they're talking about like the problems with the Wii U. He's like, we don't have to. He's like, and that's the one that he's like, that's one of the biggest things that we learned. And obviously that's playing a part here. The Wii U had way more things ready on day one than the Switch. It had a lot more things ready, but it also crashed. It also crashed and burned for a lot of people. Literally crashed and blocked, and just there's issues from day one. Very negative feedback. People didn't want to go out and buy Wii U's because of that. This huge update. It's not working as good. You have to use the gamepad for voice chat. So there was a lot of things that they rushed to make sure that they had, and it ended up backfiring on them. So I think with the Switch, they're like, okay, well, let's just focus on we know what people want. And then when it's ready, it's ready. And then they even delayed the online. You know what I'm saying? Like they even delayed it. Like the full paid version is supposed to be 2017. Let's wait till 2018. So they're taking their time. You know, they're taking their time to make sure maybe they get it right. So we'll see, man. We'll see.
Yeah, I'd rather them take time, get it right than, I mean, the Wii U was a Frankenstein.
Oh yeah.
Random features. It did everything, but it did nothing right. I mean, you put in a game, it took 5 minutes to load the game, and then the system froze, and then the gamepad didn't receive the signal. It was like, what the hell's going on with this thing? The Switch, the game boots up in 10 seconds.
Your explanation of the Frankenstein, it did everything. Oh, hey, guess what? We can do video chat, right? Yeah, that's good, right? Hey, you can do TV stuff on there, right? Oh yeah, that's good, right? You can do voice chat through games. All of them have it built into the gamepad, but
it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, but you have to use the gamepad if you want voice chat. So if you're using a Pro controller, you have to have a gamepad tethered to it, which is bigger than your phone, by the way. You have to.
Or you got to put it in a stand in front of you so it can look at you, and you're yelling across the room like, shoot him in Call of Duty.
Exactly. Like, and then on top of that, like the video chat, well, yeah, it has video chat, but
you can't use the video chat while doing anything but the video chat. So at that point, you might as well just pick up your phone and call the person.
Exactly. And then it says, it's like, you can have a suspend feature, but you don't have access to everything in the system during the suspend feature. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Like, you're playing this game. Suspended feature. You can only go to the eShop in Miiverse while leaving the game suspended. You can check you can't do anything else.
On top of it, it's like also like
What?
Messages. Oh, you can send messages to people, but you gotta boot up Miiverse. But you gotta boot up Miiverse to do it, and there's no on-screen notifications, to tell you
Yeah,
you even got a message. So,
like an hour later, you're sitting there saying, "Want to play Smash Brothers?" Check it 30 minutes later. Yes.
yeah.
Like,
So,
wow, that was terrible.
So that's the reason why I'm thinking Nintendo's taking their time with this one. They're like, we got to build it from scratch. They're obviously starting over. This is a completely, they can't use what they did with the Wii U. Otherwise, it's going to be another Frankenstein machine with the Switch. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's their fault. That's their fault for not having a good network and system ready. But they had to start from scratch, and they just need more time to build a decent network that has the features that people are looking for. So that's what I personally feel is happening on there with that. So yeah, we'll take one more question because that one went a little long. I'm holding Nate here hostage from his weekend. So we'll take one more. We need a good question, guys. Go ahead and put a good question in the chat here. Do you want to talk real quick, Nate, about the Super Nintendo pre-order situation? Are you upset about that? Is that something you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'll talk about that.
Go ahead. We'll finish off with that one then.
It's such a complicated topic because I see people's frustrations, but I wonder how much of that frustration is just because people want to pre-order it, they want to know they have it day one, and they're just so convinced there's going to be no stock after launch day that they're just getting themselves up in a frenzy. I mean, Nintendo came out and said we're shipping a way more Super NES than we ever did the NES units, so it's kind of like, if you're probably patient, you'll probably find one on a store shelf in late October or early November or in December. Like, you will find stock. Now, the pre-order situations by these retailers is shitty because it's like, oh, it's 4 a.m. We're just opening pre-orders. No announcement about it, no heads up. It's just kind of dropped on Amazon and Walmart and Best Buy. I mean, that sucks. And then you have GameStop forcing bundles, and they say, oh, it's of value to our customers. No, it's not. I don't want a Link hat and a Mega Man clock for $500 with my Super NES. I just want this $90 system. I don't want your Think Geek junk. I want the system. Don't force a bundle on me.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, man. It's... I got two of them, and I'm giving one away. So subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. So I was able to pre-order because I'm a weirdo, and I'm up at night. I was up at 3 a.m. because I work at 3 a.m. I work on a European schedule during the day, it's the day in Europe, and I'm working. I'm working here, and then I sleep. I think I go to sleep around maybe 5 a.m. and then I wake up I wake up to take my daughter to school, and then I go to sleep back again, and then I wake up maybe at 11 to play video games, and I literally get no sleep. I wake up to stream for you guys, and then I literally get no sleep, and then on the weekends, I'm asleep all day. I'm literally hibernate. I'm literally like a bear hibernating all on the weekends. I'll do a couple videos, schedule them, then I'm hibernating. So for me, it was easy to get a Super Nintendo Classic thingy. I actually even pre-ordered one from Amazon UK. So I was actually able to pre-order 3 of them. I did cancel that one, so someone else can have it. But yeah, I was able to pre-order 2. It wasn't a problem. I was even able to pre-order one back when Walmart did their first rounds when they canceled all of them. I was able to pre-order it that time too. So to me, it's such a better situation because I wasn't able to do that with the Nintendo Classic thingy. I wasn't able to they didn't have pre-orders here, and they were almost impossible to find. So I look at the situation like, it's a lot better than last time.
I mean, it's definitely a lot better than last time. It's just retailers kind of, they fudged up the pre-order process. And I mean, I understand people's fears because Nintendo screwed up with the NES, with the stock situation. But I do think it's not going to be as bad. And I think if people just wait out I need it day one and all that insanity, they'll probably actually be able to get them online relatively easy. It's just that hype of day one, need to have it, that is causing all these problems. And I mean, yeah, Nintendo is to blame, the retailers are to blame, and scalpers are going to screw, they're going to screw things up. But I mean, scalping isn't new. They did it for the Switch, PS4, every system. It's just, I mean, that's on the stores. It's not on Nintendo. If Target lets a guy come in at 6 a.m. on launch day and walk out with 25 Super Nintendos, That's on them to say one per customer. They screwed up, not Nintendo. They gave them stock. That guy's an asshole.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I do want to get your opinion on one more thing before we go. You still there, Nate?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I thought you cut out for a second. So Japan has their Splatfest coming up, and it's McDonald's fries versus chicken nuggets.
Oh shit.
So what side are you on? Are you on Team Fries or Team Nugget? Which one?
I'm gonna have to go with Team Nugget.
Team Chicken Nuggets. So Nate from Direct Feed Games, we're gonna call him Direct Feed Nuggets going forward. Nate is Direct Feed Nuggets. I would have to pick. I'd have to go with Team Fries, man. McDonald's French fries. They're not my favorite, but I like me some good fries. I like me some good nuggets too. But
I gotta go with the Team Nugget because I hit up the gym. I get out of the gym. You know what? I get that 20 piece. It's like 40 grams of protein in those suckers. It's like $2. So I get some good cheap protein to load up on after the gym. That's where I gotta go with those nuggets.
I can't even eat either one of them because McDonald's fries have beef traces in them, meat traces, and I'm vegan, so I can't eat either one of them. But if I had to eat one, it would definitely be McDonald's fries. That's the lesser of two evils in this situation. But once again, like I want to make sure I am not one of those pushy vegans because I know vegan people can be annoying as hell. Like,
oh my aunt is a hardcore vegan and she's gluten free.
Yeah,
like she'll sit there. She'll give people shit about stuff.
Exactly. I'm not. I don't care what other people. I don't care what other people eat. Like I could care less, man. I'm worried about myself, about what I'm eating. So I'm worried about what I have to eat. Not worried about unless you're gonna buy me food. I mean, like unless you're gonna share the food that you're buying.
Unless I invite you over to dinner, I'm like, here's a big pork roast. You're like, I'm vegan. I say, you're eating this pork roast. I don't make any vegetables.
Yeah, but I don't have any friends, so nobody invites me to dinner. So I'm good on that one. But anyway, we're gonna go in and wrap this one up. I want to thank everyone who watched. We had a nice viewer base. We had well over 150 people at one point. I think 170.
Nice.
So it was very good. So Nate, before now that we're wrapping this one up, man, where can people find you at, man? As far as your channel and all that.
You can find me on Twitter at DirectFeedGames, and my YouTube is some weird URL. So you're better off just finding me on Twitter at DirectFeedGames, and you can find my YouTube link on Twitter.
Yeah, so I have it right here. So Nate runs a good YouTube channel. So if you're looking for comparisons, he does a lot of comparisons between games. Like he just did a really good one for Resident Evil Revelations, the PS4 versus Wii U. I definitely suggest you guys check that one out. So I'm going to link Nate's channel, and his username is weird.
It's like Examine 100 or something.
Examine 100. So I'm going to go ahead and link his channel. So if you guys can go ahead check out his channel, subscribe, especially if you want to see some stuff he uploads. Mario Kart, he uploads Mario Maker. I've seen all sorts of stuff that he's uploaded before. He's uploaded some Mario Plus Rabbids as well. And he gets some early access. He gets early access to games too. So
I upload footage as soon as that embargoes. Upload preview footage. I always have new footage up there. Probably whenever a big game's coming out, I'll probably have footage.
So he does get early access to a lot of different stuff, and whenever the embargo goes up, he's definitely there. So I'm also going to link Direct Feed Games' Twitter as well. So you guys check out his Twitter page. Go ahead and follow him on there. Also, subscribe to him on his YouTube channel as well. Runs a great YouTube channel, runs a great Twitter, and like I said, has no problem checking a few people into the boards. Checked me, checking a few people multiple times. He was very adamant. Like I said, I had to thank him for that. It's like kind of all came full circle. So I'm really happy we were able to talk about this. I think this was something that I think a lot of people are going to be happy with as far as our conversation, especially when people look back at the VODs of what we talked about. I think it was a pretty good podcast, man. As well.
Definitely.
Yeah. So is there anything else you want to say to anyone in the chat or anything like that, or anything in general?
No. Thanks for having me. If all your listeners enjoyed this, be sure to share it, and maybe we can set up another time where I can come on here. We can discuss more stuff, and it's just great to be here and talk with you about all this and take your take the questions from your fan base.
All right, absolutely, man. I think a lot of them are going to be coming over to checking out what you got to offer too as well, man. So yeah, thank you so much. I do appreciate that, guys. I'll have a poll up for who I should pick for the Splatfest. I think it's invisibility. Is it invisibility?
Invisibility and flying, I think.
Invisibility and flying. So I'll take a poll. Whatever you guys tell me to do, I'm gonna do it. So we'll do that. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Nate, for coming on. I do appreciate that. And we'll definitely see you guys for the next video. I'll have just for this weekend, I'll have 2 videos up per day. So look forward to that. And we should do some we'll do some Splatfest live streaming. So the PE Patreon Ninja, all of you guys out there, get ready for that. Falcon launch. It says digital. Is it DFG versus SMD? The Splatfest team DFG Nvidia versus a team SMD. AMD.
I know what team would win that.
I'm not entering. I'm not entering that one, man. No, you guys are both cool. You guys are both great guys, man. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it, and we'll see you guys for the next video. Peace out.